Okay. Next hour, we're talking about Sean. Let's go.
It could be done.
Well, what's the rant? Tell me what the rant is.
Right, okay, let's start this. Right, so it's on a stream as well, so there's a chat. There's a couple of people in there. They'll obviously throw their 2 cents in because why not? Fucking CFTC.
Yeah, just let me know because I'm on my phone and my laptop's somewhere far.
Yeah, no, it's cool. If they say anything relevant, I'll ask it on behalf of them. But yeah, basically, we're gonna rant about the direction of the FGC. Oh no, sorry, fighting games, not bund the community.
No, we're gonna politely discuss.
Politely discuss.
We can. I think we can because it's not about the community. It's actually about the games. So what are the games doing, and what kind of direction they're gonna like?
What year games?
Well, see, I thought we should just start from the beginning, origin stories.
Yeah.
Because you in theory are kind of old school.
What did you call me?
Old school.
Old man, grandpa.
I did hesitate. And I went old school.
Alright, cool.
Pre-09 basically is now what content.
Should have never. That's how when you start games early, bro. It's just a rap, man. It's like
you learn different key skills, bro. You learn a trade. We've all learned a trade, and now the trade is just obsolete. We've all learned
it's borderline near. It's near obsolete.
It's near, bro. It's like we've all learned how to be cashiers, but now we just got the machines that you pay for themselves, self-service. Yeah. So it's just like, why do I need to know maths? I've got a phone.
The young SSM machine, man. Nah, fucking my cat.
So yeah, I don't know if you used to wanna flip a coin. Who wants to go first? And do like, I guess like origin stories from used to, like why you got into fighting games, the appeal, because that's obviously the direction that you liked about fighting games, and then we'll just start from that.
Boy,
You go, man. You go.
boy, man, like this should take till still. You want me to? My origin story is complex, man.
Come on.
My origin story has got multiple chapters. Right.
No filler.
No filler. Just straight transformations. Just to skip that.
Are we starting from when like cousins and all of that were involved as well? Or?
I know they start from interaction with the community. Don't have to talk about the community, but the first interaction with the community.
Okay, interaction with the community. I think I was going back to when I was like probably 15, probably 14, 15, 16. Around that age. I think it was either my 16th birthday or my 15th birthday. And my boys took me to Trocadero. I'm not going to give you the backstory of how I got to that point. Because before that point, like, I was playing DragonBall Z tournaments, like Budokai, Tenkaichi 2. So,
filthy casual.
And Yu-Gi-Oh! But let's start with just fighting games, right? So my boys take me to the arcade because we think we're nice. And I think it's like 2 months I learned how to play the joystick. This is like 2007, probably 2006, 7. And I come into the arcade, I'm watching, I think I'm nice. I'm like beating people on first strike, like parrying with my Ken, thinking my Ken and my Q are basic. Like I'm doing like Q's close medium into claw on block, and then doing super straight after, thinking I'm sick, like frame chats. Like I thought I was very good, and then one time these 3 guys sat down, and they literally ran a train on me. Like, pause.
Choo.
But like so, and the 3 guys that sat down were Zach Bennett, Kaz, and Pedro.
Jesus.
So the 3 of them literally ran like a train on me. Like they were just taking turns beating me with like Dudley, Makoto, trying to like perfect me. And like when you're playing with your food. And like I was like, what the fuck these guys, bro?
When they're team-moded in versus mode.
Yeah. they thought they were basic. And I had to come off, and then some other random tall white man came on. This was D'Artagnan, and D'Artagnan was getting wrecked as well. Okay. And we were just getting rinsed. We were getting rinsed, boy. And then that was my first like taste of like, and little did I know who these people were at the time. And then that was like my first. It was on my, I think it was 15th or 16th birthday. And when I came back, so I came back shortly after, and that's when I met F-Word. I met Femi, and we were just playing against each other. He was getting rinsed. Don't let him remix the story. He was getting rinsed. Man was his shitty Ken. We had Ken mirrors, and like first week Ibuki, he got beat up, and like we were really bad. Like no parries. straight jump, cross up, sweep. like jump, cross up, sweep.
Classic.
The classic. We called it kick up, kick down. So like we had the young kick up, kick down, and the crouching hard sweep, and the crouching light sweep. Nah, bro, we had the names, boy. We had the names, boy. And then so that's when I met F Word, and then we played a lot, and then months and months passed, years passed, and then I think that's when obviously Tekken came out. No, before Tekken was Street Fighter 4 before Tekken, and then Street Fighter 4 came out in the arcade. I think this is like after, like this is before I never knew about no scene. There was all running tournaments, BODs were happening, but I didn't care. I was just a guy in the arcade playing games, right? And then Street Fighter 4 came out in the arcade, and then that guy Zach Bennett came back again with his fucking hat, and I was like, Femi, that's that fucking guy I told you about. I said I need to get him, and he's like, nah, you don't know. I don't know who this guy is, bro. I don't give a fuck who he is. Never mind. More. I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is, bro. Look at this little manky brother that beating me. I said, okay. And then, wait 1 second. I think those come. Do I want McDonald's? Yeah, I'll take some.
Man said no for the way he got it anyway.
Yeah, pardon? No, give me always. Yeah. Yeah, get the Big Mac. Don't get the corn big.
It's not getting.
Yeah, actually get the corn. I haven't tasted it.
Might even timestamp it.
Thank you. Yeah, hello. So back to so what do you say, Lola? What? On the milkshake. It's included with the drink.
No, there's either that or drink or alcohol shake. Whether I have the Oasis or the milkshake or just Oasis.
This is a mix-up. Can I have just the Oasis and then can I have a McFlurry?
This is fully like a filler episode. This is sick.
This is a filler episode. It's sick.
The gang goes to get Mackie D's.
Final Fantasy, take some selfies.
Yeah, hello. So, and then
Battle of Destiny. So you had to encounter Zach.
Yeah, I said encounter Zach, and then Zach, we were 1-1 at the time, and everyone's like, "Oh, who's this, bro?" And I was just there like, "What? I don't care," because he had a win streak. So at the time, he had like some 45 win streak. And he just lost to me playing my shit Balrog, and I had no idea how to do Ultra, bro. I was trash.
Them times.
Man was doing bare FAD season thing. He lost to Balrog.
No headbutt into Ultra, no?
No headbutt, bro. I didn't have to do headbutt. But bro, I was like, oh, how do you charge up and then charge left, right?
Yeah, that was a myth, bro. That was a myth for everyone at one point.
Exactly. I'll tell you how I learned it, bro. But I learned it from some Asian brother, like 2 weeks after. Like, I watched his hands. I was like, bro, what? You can charge and hold up back? No.
Forbidden stuff, bro.
It was forbidden. And then me and Zach played, and obviously he won the 2-1, but obviously he lost the streak, and he was really, really pissed. And then like obviously spudded, blah blah, and Femi was like, after playing there, so I won't go into the Tekken. I'll just focus on Street Fighter because Tekken is different because I got a card in Tekken. I had like my card goes plus 2,000 plus wins. So like my card is, I still have my Tekken card, but so Efford was like to me, oh, there's this place called Casino, and I was like, okay, where's Casino? It's like, oh, it's in Gooch Street, and then he took me to Gooch Street, and then after in Gooch Street, I played there for a bit. And then there was this black guy with an afro, like some random black guy. And he was all coughing on the machine. I was like, bro, I'm not touching the machine. Some black brother's coughing on that. Who the fuck is this, bro? Like, and then I remember telling Femi, like, who's this dark cough? Like this man's got a dark cough, you know? And that name stuck. Like, I said, this brother's got the darkest cough. So I came and sat down, yeah? And this guy was saying, Ryu, and everyone's all getting hyped. He's pressing that, they're like doing ta-ta-ta-ta on the buttons. I'm like, bro, who presses a million buttons like this? You know what I mean? So I sat down to play this guy, yeah? And he says, nah, man, you're playing it. I said, oh, who talks like that, bro? What, bro, you know? And it's all like, you're right. So I told him, you're right. Yeah. So quick game, yeah? And I was like, all right, cool. So we sit down, we play. And Casino was at £1. You got, no, it was £1 for 3, no, 1 for 2. So you got 2. Put a pound in. And bruv, he picked Ryu, and I was like, all right, cool, let's play it. Because I played my boys. I said, all right, cool, what type of Ryu is it? Is he the hard body Ryu? The hard body ones, the ones who keep jumping, yeah. So I had names for them. So growing up, we had names for styles. So we didn't have like styles or people called them. You know, people go too far these days. Like man was just like, all right, cool. What type of Ryu is this guy, bro? Is he a hard body one? Is man a Dorda? So like we call him a Dorda bandit. So if you watch Hokuto no Ken, them man who get them head exploded, they always say Dorda and crack a head on there and crack a boulder on their head, innit? So they're bandits. So I said, is he a Dorda bandit that just jumps in and gets his head exploded? And then Ryan was just bare calm. I said, bro, look at these trash, bro. He's some frigid bitch. So call him the FB. Huh?
This is Ryan Hart for the other people in the chat.
Oh yeah, so okay, sorry. Yeah, so it's Ryan Hart. So, like,
yeah, not Dark Off. I don't know if that name's gonna think of. I mean that's a sick tag, cool. But yeah.
So then me and DC start playing, and then yeah, he's like all backdashing, Ryan's all backdashing. I'm like, what is going on here? He's just like focus absorbing, and I keep pressing roundhouse, and then like I was like, back in the day we called it hard kick, so like I still call it hard. I call it the hardest kick. So I was pressing the hardest kick, and then he kept on absorbing. He had half health. I'm like, wait a second, like, what's he doing? Like, I don't know what he's doing. So I press jab to his focus, and he doesn't let it go. And I don't know how to do ultra, so I start mashing to do ultra, and I end up doing super, and it kills him. And then he lost the round, and he's bare pissed. Like, I'm like, why are you angry? You killed yourself. Then the next round, he just goes ham on me and like absolutely like not obliterates. He's not throwing fireballs. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm just getting fireballed to death, bro. And then I lose, and then the next game, like Ryan, he does the hard body style, which I talked about. He starts jumping in at me, and because I wasn't ready prepared for this, like I just kept on anti-airing him, and I was like, he's just gonna keep on jumping. I feel like I had a feeling. I said, he's just gonna keep on jumping. Like he thinks I'm afraid, and yeah, like and when I beat him, then like again there was this little, it was just one game. He said, "Nah, I gotta go, man. Good JJ's," and then like he just dipped, and at that time I didn't know who, and then like. That was like the first time Femi, like Effort would tell you, that's the first time he ever brought me to casino.
So
and
would you say like for you,
yeah.
sort of the offline scene, was it kind of like just going out offline to embarrass people? Is that what kind of like?
When I went offline, it was the fact that my friends were tired of playing me, and they were like, the way you look at things or games, like we're tired of you. Need to go play other people, right. And it wasn't even to shame other people. It was to kind of like I believe that what me and my friends, like how we broke games down or how we profiled, I believed it like it worked for everyone.
Right.
So I only went offline because I was bored, and like at the time I was at uni, like at UEL, not UEL. Fucking no, fuck you, no, I don't remember my uni. University of Arts London, UAL. University of Arts London in Elephant and Castle. So I wasn't too far. So it was like my ambition at the time was just to prove like that what we know is right in it. And because I didn't think I was good. My friends always told me I was okay. And then it just stuck by me. So I always had that belief that whoever I thought I could always, no matter who it was, I could find out or profile them in my head. And no matter. What is it?
I was gonna say, hold on to that, because I think that's a direction that we all come across at one point in games.
Yeah, and that was that, but that happened to me much earlier on. That was like DragonBall Z days, but that's a story, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Another day.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
But yeah, and yeah, that's that. The rest is kind of history. Then I got invited to a tournament. I think it was one of the first ones, the Street Fighter Internationals or whatever. The one that Ryan Hart won, and where he became the international champ, where he beat Alun in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I got invited to that one, and then I played my first one. I played Wesley.
Wes was there. Orez.
Yeah, Orez is there. And then we played, and he got battered. Yeah, he playing Rufus. He just got absolutely hammered. And then like, he got absolutely shit. I think it wasn't even Sagat. I was playing Barrow that time still. And that was my first match, and it was like an upset. And that's the first time I heard the word. Like I'm not involved in the community, and all these guys had like these weird mannerisms and the way they talked in it. Like these men talk like my cousins, like my older cousins, like blatant and all that. There, yeah. I was like, oh, you man have the vernacular of like I was used to it. I wasn't that it was weird for me. I was like, oh, you man actually just sound like man from back in the day. Do you know what I mean? So they sounded like man from London from way back. So me and Wes got on, and then in that tournament I had to play Zach again. And this was in top 8. And this is before big stream. He was off stream. And at the time, I didn't know how far I got. And then Zach battered me, bro. He came angry, boy. He came angry, boy. Man said, I prepared. And I was like, alright, safe. And I think that's the beginning of me and Zach's friendship. Like at that moment. It was at that moment we became friends. He said, yeah, I remember you, I prepared for you. I was like, alright, safe.
IRL, Ryu and Ken. Damn.
Yeah, it was. And then that's how me and Zach became really, really good friends. And that is and then the rest, it's history from there. That was my first tournament was like top 8 from there, and then everything else was just up. Luckily, it was just up. But yeah, I tried the long and short of it. I skipped out bare parts, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean,
I try to keep it short.
There was a little bit of filler, but that's cool. It was only a tiny bit. 2 minutes of Big Mac talk. I mean, it's making me mad hungry. But yeah, so you had like, I guess it's a traditional UK upbringing where you've got like the Trocadero, Good Street. You had that. You've had the offline experience where you had to actually pay money to play people.
Yeah, so I would, even before Trocadero, it was always offline. I never knew there was a scene per se, but yeah, I had to put money on the line. Like, even when we played Marvel 2, I had to put money down on the line, and the credit was there, innit? Like, you put your pound and you gotta wait. You gotta wait. So yeah, literally, I never really
can't afford to lose. Literally can't afford
for fighting games. Yeah, literally can't afford to lose. I was broke back then. You know what I'm saying? So
I think like Theory, your story's different.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Because I was about to say, because well, I'll let you explain it because I've heard it. But yeah, you go ahead.
So I was originally a Counter-Strike player. Like back when I was super young, I was into FPS and shit. And then the team I was playing with kind of fell apart because we were dickhead kids and just causing arms nonstop. And in 2007, I think, 2006 maybe, GGPO came out. And I'm from the country, like down south. Like I was in fucking nowhere in a village. Basically, online was the only thing that I could do. So GGPO drops, and me and the guy from the team, Dan, we played Street Fighter 2 on it. And he was doing, we did the whole classic Ryu thing of like throw fireballs, jump roundhouse, crouch roundhouse, which is unblockable, like that shit. And then eventually he picked Dictator, and he just did slide over and over again. And I was like, you can't beat this. This is the fucking best thing ever. Like that's OP. This game's bullshit. And then later that week, I went back online to play against like randoms. And I was like, I'm gonna pick Dictator and just like do slides, and it's gonna be sick. And like I'm gonna troll them because it was fucking twat 13-year-old. And I did a slide and it hit someone. I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. Did a slide again. He blocked it and touched death to me with Blanca. I was like, oh, okay, there's levels to this shit. And it was kind of from that moment onward, I was like Googling how to beat Blanca, and then you find like Neo Empire and all these forums and all this shit. And I just got more and more into it. Like my introduction to fighting games was playing online and like seeing someone do something that would kill me, and then like Googling it and finding all these communities and shit.
Right.
So basically I got super hooked on that, like just like learning how to like punish stuff, because I played competitive games and it was kind of like innate to me. And then Googling tournaments, because in Counter-Strike 90% of the tournaments are online. You play online, that's what you do. But then I realized that tournaments aren't online for fighting games. So me and my now housemate would get a coach to London like once a year to go play ST at like SVB or Battle of Destiny or whatever the fuck it was that was going on. Like once a year, get the coach up from down south, spend 2 hours, maybe catch some sort of like disease off whoever sat next to you,
obviously,
get to London, stay in a hostel. And my first tournament experience was playing casuals with people like Random Hajil and shit like that. And just people being like, who's this fucking dickhead barrel player? He's just flowcharting. He's not doing anything good. I'm like 14 at the time, like fucking terrified, like from the country. First time like hearing anyone would use any slang. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die here, so that's cool. I'm doing like throw loops. Like people are wanting to like kick the shit out of me because I'm doing throw loops with fucking Balrog over and over again because I don't know how to do anything else.
The thing is, I think briefly, for like people that don't know, you might have to explain how cheap throw loops are, and like when like Theory's not, he's being literal. Like people will spin your jaw for doing stuff like that. Literally, grown men will box you for that.
Yeah, when the one time, like when I visited my brother in London and went to Goose Street and did a throw loop on some guy in an empty arcade, and he was threatening to kick shit out of me, and I'm like literally 14. I was
welcome to G.
Yeah, man. It was like casino got peaked sometimes if you didn't know what was etiquette. And because throw loops they're not actually that bad, but if you don't know how to deal with them,
no, they're terrible. Don't lie to them.
You can throw the meaty, man. Anyway, but at the time, like people didn't know how to deal with them, so you could literally just like beat people 10 times better than you by just doing throw, walk under, crouch strong, throw, or crouch forward, and it was fucking terrible. I was just like, shit, this is like serious business, and I kind of from there I was like, yeah, this is sick. Like I'm nearly getting beaten up for doing some strategy. That's 10 out of 10, man.
That's 11 out of 10.
Yeah, man. And that was it. And just ever since then, just like moved up to London eventually, played a lot of fucking games. It's kind of simple.
What would you say is like the biggest difference for you in terms of playing Counter-Strike and fight games at like top level?
Having no one to blame.
Yeah.
Like it just simply like if I'm shit, there is no reason. I mean, it's why people blame characters nowadays, right? I picked top tier in a fucking terrible broken game. I had literally no one else like around me that I could blame for my fucking failings, and that was it. Like playing Counter-Strike, I would get frustrated because it's like, oh, where's the fifth guy? Oh, he's having dinner or he's doing homework or some shit, and it's like, cool, we can't play tonight. Like, whereas now it's like, I can do anything I want. I can be the best player in the fucking world, and it doesn't matter who the fuck, like, what my situation is. I can get that coach to London for £5, and I'm fucking sorted. I'm there at a tournament. Like that to me was the biggest thing. Counter-Strike was always way too many variables. Like, you can come up with all the strategies you like. If the guy on fucking A long misses the shot, then your strategies have fucking failed.
Right.
So yeah, that for me was the big thing, the big switch. It was an easy one to make for sure.
Okay, so I guess like going on to the topic, if we bounce off of what like Thea was saying, with fighting games, do you feel like they're like the old school games? Do you feel they kind of wanted you to have that sort of freedom, as in you can't blame anything but yourself? Do you think older games are like that more or less than like the newer generation stuff? Because personally, I feel older games make you feel like that. They make you feel like you lost because of your skill, where newer games make you think, I lost because of this mechanic or this character.
I see where you're coming from. Your question was a bit loaded, but how I took your question, but how I took your question, or how I'm going to answer it is, do older games, obviously newer games, do older games have like, do they, when you play them, so obviously how I see your question, with paraphrase, is with the older games, that when you're playing the older games, do I feel like when they made the older games, do I feel like when the designers or whoever, or the game testers, whoever, when they made those games, that they were more inclined for, not for skill, but there were elements that I could only blame myself, whereas in the newer games there's more nuances and things to blame.
Yeah, like a really simple example is in Dragon Ball, because obviously I've showed Theory Dragon Ball. It's the difference between like going, oh, I didn't 2H the Super Dash, or I lost because of Super Dash. I think back in the day, people would have been like, I got hit by the Super Dash, it was my fault because I didn't 2H it. Now people are going, it's Super Dash, it's meant to hit you all the time.
I think I don't know what Theory thinks, but I think that's really hard to answer, more so because the mentality has changed in the past. I've watched it change in, shit man, I can actually say 10 years. I've watched it change in the last 10 plus years, nearly 12 plus years. I've seen the mentality change of how players approach games, and I think that's more to do with the fact of not just I think accessibility plays a key to it, and also the reach of games. So now when someone watches something online, they're like, why can't I do that? And I feel like when that sense of entitlement, so when people feel entitled, so when we played games before,
Yeah.
we always thought there was a first knowledge because we weren't entitled, so we didn't know where to look for, like how to beat certain characters. When someone beat us, we're like, "Raw, this person actually knew what I want. Like he was just better than me." You accepted it because you didn't know. It was the unknown. Whereas I feel like now, because of the accessibility and entitlement is higher, so the more accessible things are, the more we think we should have them, and the more if we think we should have things, we're entitled. And if we're entitled, we feel like we're owed. So I feel like players now feel like they're owed more. So
Do you think it's like before it would be like classes like someone being creative, but now it's just a B&B? Because as soon as you go on YouTube, it belongs to everyone.
Yeah, it belongs to everyone.
Back in the day, they used to give names to stuff all the time.
Exactly.
You had Gutek Shimmy, that was Gutek's thing apparently. Like that was his thing. You had Bucktooth Loops. Things were named after people. Nothing's named after anyone anymore. Like it's just
it's
the
more
B&B.
homogenized. Yeah, it's more homogenized now. But yeah, I don't think it's the sense that we'll talk more about it. Maybe or may not be with the game, but I do feel like players now are just more entitled, and because they're more entitled, when things happen that don't go their way, they're like, "Oh, this how it's nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with everything else because I know everything already."
Yeah.
So and because people think that way, oh, I know all of this already. Oh, because I know you can 2H it, so I just didn't 2H it. It's the Super Dash's fault. It's nothing to do. So you place less blame on yourself because you know more variables. So that's to me. I just think it's entitlement changes everything. But I don't know what Theory thinks, but that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Theory, what would you say?
I think that you gotta. I think about when I came into fighting games, right? So that was like 2007, 2008 was days like when I started like knowing how a fighting game worked. But at that point, ST had already been out for a fucking long time, like a really long time. And the tier lists, have not changed that much since when I started. And even before when I started, everyone kind of knew like Dalsim, Claw, Boxer, Old Sagat, like some people say Chun-Li, whatever, were the best characters in the game. So for me, when I played it, I accepted the hand I was dealt. Like the idea of a game changing was not even something that was a idea to me. I didn't think games changed. In fact, I fucking hated it when games changed. I didn't play Street Fighter 4 until Arcade Edition because I hated how different it was from ST. So when Old Sagat would fuck me up, I never went like, oh, this needs to change or whatever. I just went, okay, I'm not playing the matchup right, or oh, I need to learn another character. Like you just learn how to deal with shit because that's what the game was. There's no chance it's gonna fucking change. It's not changed in 10 years now. Like I have to accept the hand I'm dealt. There is no sort of like, oh, this is a bug of the game and it's not gonna it might get fixed in a couple of weeks. Like nowadays, you pick a top tier in a new game, you run the active risk of picking a character that is about to get nerfed into the fucking ground, especially if you play an Arxis game. Fucking hell, like it was never a consideration for me. Like, oh, this is gonna change. I'm owed this or whatever. It's just like, no, you're playing ST. ST is ST. Like, get the fuck over it. Like, Old Sagat, fucking Old Geef will full screen throw fucking Dalsim sometimes. That's your life. That is just your life, mate. Like, you cannot go to a boss man shop, get chicken, and then be angry that you got shit chicken. You got that chicken. Like, that is just how it is.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think we're saying the same.
Yeah, basically. It's just it's just like a different angle. Like, nowadays, like, even then when I was learning the game, accessibility wasn't that bad. Like, obviously you had to be on like online or whatever the fuck, but SRK wikis existed and you could learn entire matchups from a wiki.
So accessibility for you would be obviously because everyone's got their own definition of it, but what's accessibility to you? Is
the ability to learn.
The
ability to learn about the game, because like you were saying, there's a lot of shit you didn't know. And at that time, watching footage was not something that was easily done. You like had to go on fucking Neo Empire and go into like some shady part of the forum to watch like Japanese like fucking 140p Garrow footage. Do you know what I mean? Like it was what?
VHS, fam.
Free the shend.
Yeah, like that sort of shit was work. So accessibility for me was when you could actually go somewhere and learn about a game without having without playing it. You could learn about it.
Okay,
cool.
People are gonna ask about it, or someone will ask.
I think it's like, to us it's obvious, but maybe to the new generation, back then games did not have a fucking tutorial.
Yeah, or a training mode. A lot of the time.
Actually, you're right. Some of them didn't actually have a training mode. It's all these emulators and re-releases, and it's like they put T mode in there. Like, we moan about like not having online training mode. Before there was literally no training mode. You learn with your money in the machine against the moving dummy, bro. And that moving dummy was trying to take your money.
Yeah, I just think that sense of entitlement or the hardship we went through is kind of reminiscent to how everyone sees what was it? What did they call us again? Generation Y and the baby boomers. It's like how the baby and the millennials. It's like kind of how the baby boomers see us. You know, they see us as like, well, when I in my day, you know, we worked hard.
Standard.
We worked hard to make our money, and I'm not saying elements of that we're old and we're angry. Just to let everyone know who's kind of newer to the games, it's not to kind of segregate you and alienate yourselves. It's more just to say that the difference in time is actually very evident. Like people can argue for it today, but it's true, because if you compare the 50s and the 60s to now, they can say, yeah, in my day, hours upon hours, and like there was no tutorials on how to work, and I had to be my own man. Whereas now people can be their own man online, but people these days have said, yeah, but because I can be my own man online, it's harder to differentiate myself. There's always a struggle, but in games, it's much more simpler than life.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think the argument of like, oh, games were harder back then is redundant. Like, one, no one cares, and two, it's perspective. Like,
it's perspective, 100%.
Like, I can say like a Magneto MVC2 combo is hard, but then someone can have trouble in the DBZ combo, which is obviously easier, but it's still hard for me. It's all perspective.
Yeah, it's all perspective, and I think the only change, accessibility is a huge variable, and I do believe, you were saying before, going back to the point, I do believe that because accessibility is different now, games nowadays are more tailored towards the aspect, and that is without a fact. There's not many things that I can call fact in this world, but one thing you can say is the games that are being made with accessibility in mind, and accessibility is in the outreach of the game, or accessibility in who can play the game, or the accessibility of how, not hard, but what elements of the game that the casual person can pick up. And those elements have definitely changed since the last 10 or 20 years, and that is inarguable. That's actual factuals. That's factual. Like, because software is agile, right? So it's incremental. So once software, you upgrade it every single time. You make it bad, it gets better and better. I'm not saying games back then were bad, but they took elements of what were great back then. I'm not saying it's better now, but it has changed, and like that's no one can argue. Like you can argue, you can say what games hard or not, whatever, but they have changed, and accessibility is at the forefront, like 120%, and that does affect mechanics. Like we all know this, that affects mechanics in some way, shape, or form. But accessibility has changed, and entitlement it keeps on increasing. Like people, like Fury was saying, like when you're in the arcade, you did not expect like ST to bloody freaking, like when you were getting swept, or when CE Bison was just putting you through the ringer, like you had to hold that. Like you had to hold certain things, and you just were like, that's just the way it is. Whereas now you can't go 2 weeks without a glitch, like or a week and a half before your glitch is taken out. So
games are getting exploited left, right, and center now, isn't it?
Yeah, like everything has changed. So the accessibility brought on new risks for the game developers, but at the same time, it has brought in like new troubles, things that we've never encountered before, which we're probably going to talk about later. But
we'll have to. There's a lot of points where I didn't kind of want to touch upon. Like we can't really talk about this without talking about the community as well. That's no,
we're going.
But yeah, like I don't want that to be like because it's going to turn into back in my day. That's exactly how the conversation will start when we talk about that.
Don't worry.
But I want to kind of we have to address it, but like skim over it because it's been done on Twitter over and over again.
100%,
But
100%.
the big point I wanted to get across, I'll ask Theory because RMZ kind of touched upon it. Is do you think it's more the community or the developers? Is it like it's a chicken and egg situation, right? Do you think the game developers were making it more accessible for players, or was it the players that made noise to make the developers to make games easier? Which way do you think it went?
So it's kind of like a hard issue to tackle because if you look at any game at a certain level, the accessibility entirely goes. So the accessibility exists at this lower, in my eyes, exists at like a low level of ability, right? So in, let's say, BB tag, right? It has auto combos as its primary combo mechanic. So you press BBB and you get a combo out of it. That stops being relevant as soon as you understand anything about combos. So is that an accessibility decision by them? Fuck yeah, it is. Does it affect what happens later in the game? Less so, to be honest with you. So I think there's an entitlement from players, but the entitlement from players comes from like a mid-level where they think they understand what a game should be and what the developers should be doing. And I think that most of the time they're fucking wrong, right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that has happened in terms of accessibility for me is Dragon Ball Z. So in 2D games, sorry, I might be getting a bit off topic here, but in 2D games, if you watch someone that's never played a 2D fighting game, play it, what's the first thing they do? They fucking mash a button.
Yeah.
So they sit there and mash a button and don't move forward and don't understand how moving works in a 2D game. Yes, you press left on the analog, but compared to say Tekken, where your moves you forward a lot of the time, they don't even understand the concept of movement. And the homing dash and shit like that, I'm sure it exists for some bullshit lore reason I don't care about. But it also circumvents new players having to learn about movement to a certain degree. It starts being less relevant, higher the skill level, but still it's there to help newer players.
I never thought about it like that, but that's like, that sounds spot on.
I think that's a total thing they do. There's a reason why the auto combo plays out on whiff as well as on hit in EBZ, right? So
fantastic game.
Great game. More fun for you guys, right?
No, not even that. It's just accessibility. It's like
yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes I told my friends is like about games. Is mid-level people think they know everything, and the high level are the only two levels that are honest. Like someone who starts a game and someone who ends a game either very, very confident, like overconfident, or they don't know shit. And that's where they're just, like, you can tell a level of a player by how honest they are. if they're bullshitting you and giving you frame data and telling you how much something's plus on block and whatever, you can guarantee that this person drowns in pause.
Mate, you know what? True, man. Everyone has to go to that spot. I think even like low level players get to that spot and then they just go back to low level, or they just go away. Everyone gets in that limbo realm where it's like, I know what numbers are, but they don't mean nothing to you.
Yeah.
Like it's plus 10, but I'm still gonna press jab and get counter hit, and it's like, well, I had to do something. It's like, well, then you knowing the frame now made no difference. Do you understand? Like,
exactly. Yeah. Sorry to take off the but that's what I told everyone about the mid levels. I know this already. I know.
You're totally right, man. The mid levels are like, the mid level is like the biggest part of the FTC, right? And that's why I think our view is going, oh, it's the community's fault. Like, it's kind of fucked up because we see a lot of mid-level players complaining about shit that realistically doesn't matter that fucking much all of the time. Invulnerable fucking reversals have been removed from 355 outside of EXs. That is actually insane.
We're not talking about said game, please.
Like
it's 722.
Fighters on the street. That's what
722. It's 722 on the 28th day of February. I'm not talking about said game.
One day they'll come back.
We have to bring up mechanics. We have to, because that's gonna.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, okay, I'll put a spin on it that I don't think many people think of. Do you think some of the mechanics were there or have been put in for spectating?
Which game?
More than playing any game, like the lack of chip damage or chip kills.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more for spectators or more for the players that they've put some of these mechanics into the game?
Man, it's for spectators. It's obvious because there's more money. Fighting games now actually making more money than like if you just look at I'll give you a web and just check companies' gross and like what they pull in on quarter. Like the increase is ridiculous. It's drastic. Oh, my cat just bit me, you bitch. Wow. And then
again.
She grabbed my hand and she just bit me. But yeah, ow. But yeah, money increased drastically in games. Like that's. And when you write the developers' notes are poison. Now when you read the developers' notes, we wanted to make the games more thingy, so we took out chip damage.
Yeah,
I want to do this.
I've noticed that. NRS do that a lot. Injustice, they gave you a dossier on every change they made. I'm like, you're making it worse, man. You're making it. You think you're covering your asses by explaining why you did that change? Don't do that. Don't.
No, but they're at the forefront. I feel like NRS, as great as their games are, like I'm not gonna bash NRS here now, but they're literally at the forefront of making things for spectators.
Oh yeah,
X-rays or like the way their game, like they the colors, the stages, the stage movement, stage interaction. Who gives a fuck about stage interaction? Why do I care about throwing a big can at someone or like a? You know what I mean? Like when you're playing, as you know, when you're deep involved in any craft, you don't care about those subtleties. But like the spectator, mom be like, "Right, he's got a can chucked to his head. He's got a truck chucked to him." Whoa! You know what I'm saying? So that's an easy answer. I'm sure you and Fury, like that one's way too easy. Like games are definitely made for spectators. They just blend it. They just blend it now. Like if you took the interactables away from Injustice or any, it's still the same game. But like it doesn't change the core element. And if you strip a game to its core elements, like once you have an understanding of the game and you go to its core elements, you can then pinpoint it's all at your. You can then pinpoint once you know a game's core mechanics. You can then say, okay, if this thing was to go, it wouldn't break the game. So 100%, like mechanics now are not majority, but most of them are just made so that spectators, because there's money in it. There's money to be made, and there's no problem in that, I guess. But yeah.
Well, do you think? I'll let you jump on this one first.
Yeah.
Do you think these? I guess we're like unanimous on that. Therefore, spectators mostly all these changes that are doing, like to core. I say core fundamentals, but it's just because they started like that. So, like you said, like the reversals being invincible without using bar. Do you think changing that is a big deal to the players, or do you think it's just the nostalgia glasses and the back in my day argument? Do you think is it that much of a bigger deal that there's no reversals without bar in Street Fighter 5, or is it because of previous games that had it?
It changes the momentum of the game a lot. Like the momentum shifts in Street Fighter 5 or in Street Fighter in general can be really swift, and they've slowly kind of slowed down. But I think it obviously makes a fucking huge difference. But this conversation of like, what is a spectator? What is something added for spectators is kind of an evolution, and what is for comebacks and all that shit. This is an evolution of a conversation that happened when Street Fighter 4 released.
Yeah,
people fucking hated Ultras. Ultras were built only through taking damage. That is an objective.
Yeah, I remember
fucking
that. Man,
comeback mechanic.
That was a blow up. Can you remember? Oh yeah.
That was the Unsubbanur of that was literally the apocalypse beginning.
You actually might be right. That actually might, because I played Marvel and that pissed me off. Knowing so you're getting hit and you're gaining bar, so you can do more damage later on. Like that's the opposite to a fight. Like that's literally the opposite to a fight. And I came from Marvel when I was thinking that. So now I think back on that. Yeah, the Ultra Meter thing didn't go down too well.
But even then, it was. I said this to an SC player, fucking like literally a decade ago, and he just said to me like, "Yeah, we felt the same when in Super Turbo they introduced supers."
Yeah,
got to remember, Super Turbo was the first version of Street Fighter 2 that had a super meter, and you got it through getting hit and hitting the opponent. That was viewed as a comeback mechanic. Like some of those supers is like 70%. So this conversation is just like slowly escalating.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone from like this is a comeback mechanic, this is a comeback, and it's always gonna grow. If anything, Street Fighter 5 is kind of a reaction to the comeback mechanic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually a direct something that's, you know, you could pin it to Scrubs being like, I should be plus here, they shouldn't be able to reversal. You also pin it to all of the reaction that Street Fighter 4 got when everyone fucking hated getting hit by safe FADC DP into an Ultra. It's a direct reaction to that. Everyone hated that shit. It fucking sucked until they made it negative. So now they've just removed it completely unless there's meter, and when there's meter, it's less of a mind game. So, yeah.
Do you think it's making games worse or just different? Because I was thinking like in like the perfect C4 world, fighting games have had categories, because you know me, like I think Cross Tekken is one of the greatest games because I like footsies. If you don't like footsies, you're not gonna like that game. But it doesn't, and no people can argue and say it's a good or a bad game, because what it does well, and what it doesn't do, it's bad at.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the patience to, you know, look for the right hit to take off 70%, then you're not going to like it. You're going to like Dragon Ball Z, where you can just super dash and just elixir so on and so forth. But I like Cross Tekken because it's a quite close quarter combat-y sort of game, and everything is reactable. Most things. Shout out to Nina and Kaz. But everyone else is kind of reactable. So jump-ins, you don't have the luxury of blocking when you jump. So, you know, that's a very core Street Fighter thing. If you see someone jump, it's like, they can't block this next move. But you just have to be ready for it. So, yeah, do you think it would be better to...
Oh my god, another filler episode is beginning.
Oh,
nah, I got
man got his food. So, yeah, I guess I'll aim this out theory then while you munch.
Don't worry, I'm here. Don't worry about me.
Do you think overall it's a case of we all just need to moan less and adapt more? Or do you think they're actually taking away elements to why people got into fighting games in the first place? Or why they would want to get into fighting games in the first place?
So I think that realistically, if you look at the landscape of fighting games, there is a fighting game that they're fighting games that serve those old school needs. You know, you look at your KOFs, you look at your Tekkens. They have a lot of like really core shit that people that grew up with fighting games expect, and they get for it. You know, Cross Tekken is another example. These sorts of games, they do exist where they are very fucking old school in their mentality. Skullgirls, shit like that. That's an old school style game despite its new school aesthetic. I think it's really easy to hate on changes in fighting games. And I'm saying this as a fucking person that literally didn't play Street Fighter 4 for fucking years.
Yeah, you did.
After I did a Balrog Super, it was blocked and I was punished. And because I was so used to it in ST being safe on block, I quit the fucking game. Literally. Like, that's mental. It's like, it's really easy to look back at stuff and go, oh, this is how fighting games objectively need to be. But realistically, like, they're going to change, and there's enough fighting games now that you don't actually have to conform to what the developers are doing. You know, like neither of you played fucking Street Fighter 5 at this point. Like, there's a fucking reason for that, you know? And neither of you are like, oh man, I really wish I was playing Street Fighter 5. It's like, no, I'll just play something else.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that deep.
Yeah, I think everyone goes for the I wish they did this so I could play it, but then you go, like you said, you realise that there's so many other games you can play. It's like, well, I don't need that game to be there. Like, I'll just go do something else. Oh, I liked IAD. I'll go play a game with an IAD in it. Like, that's... I mean, some people are probably going to make the argument that, oh, but the characters don't look good. And I've been there with Skullgirls, and it's just like, your mother. But, yeah, normally people just go to the game styles and mechanics that they like, rather than the franchise and the characters and whatnot. I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the people that do just go to the aesthetic they like, they often are willing to make sort of lose a bit of the gameplay they liked as well. You know, like, look at you and DBZ. Like, you have a pretty love-hate relationship with DBZ, but Vegeta's in it multiple times. I fucking hate that I know his name, man. I blame you.
I am happy that you do know his name. My job here is done.
King Vegeta the Third.
That's long.
Even a bigger example of that, the third. Obviously, you see in the film. The biggest thing, like, going on that is, like, I played Leo because he looked like Vegeta. I hate going forward. I hate it.
Yeah.
I would happily
That's all
hold
your
back.
character does.
That's all he does. And every other game I played, it was like I will micro walk and then hit a button and then walk away. Like I played Bison, I just did Roundhouse. I did Scissor Kick and that was the longest combo I did. 2 hits. Like I did it because when I did like short Scissor Kick, it did no damage. He is trash. He is trash. I feel he's trash. Obviously tier list or whatever. But I liked that playstyle. I like being patient, waiting for you to make a mistake. And when I played Hawkeye, that is the most fun I've ever had in a fighting game. Hawkeye, MVC free, and I is probably that's the most fun I've ever had. Because that game allowed me to play how I like to play. But like you said, I played Leo over. I played him because of the aesthetics. On paper, I should play Venom, but I'm not that guy because I can't look at that character and get gassed when I do shit with him. Leo, I can, even though it's one button and you get hit by a counter. I'm happy. That gives me joy.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but I think this is an example of like going back to what you were saying of like entitlement of players. Is the entitlement that you think that every single fighting game should be a game that you love? Yeah. Like, realistically, that's just not reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna love every fighting game. Like, I actively dislike a lot of fighting games. You know, I'm just not gonna fucking play them. I don't find them fun. And that's not an issue. That doesn't mean that like they're bad games. They're just not for me. Whereas a lot of people I see on fucking Twitter or whatever, they just go, this is a fighting game. I play fighting games. I should love this game, which is fucking insane.
And they try. Yeah, I think we should wait to the community. What's my segue? What's my segue game, boys? What, you ready for this? Yeah. I just said about people saying, "Oh yeah, this is how a game should be," and especially with the way Twitter is now. That extends to the community. So the community or players now genuinely believe that when they get a game and it doesn't, and they like elements of it, and they don't like all of it, they want to change the entire game.
But where does it come from? Because there's a lot of people.
It's easy.
Okay, tell me where it comes from.
It's always entitlement, and it's the same way. It's the same way. Like all of us have lived with women, or lived with women, or have lived with women, or lived with a woman, right? Yeah. Or a partner, or lived with a friend. Like there's so many things you expect to do with your friend. Is your friend perfect? No. You know what I mean? They're not perfect. And you're never gonna. Once you live with your friend for a long time, you then realize your friend isn't perfect. But when you're new to a game or new to an experience, your expectations are high. So when they're not met, you're not given like you're given in games. You're given like an avenue to talk about it. Mm-hmm. You're given a platform to say, okay, in this game I didn't like this. It should be changed now. So that's the difference. Now your voice can be heard, and because your entitlement is already high, you're like, why shouldn't I talk about this? They can. They've already bent their back once. Why can't they bend their backs again? Like they've already changed this. Why can't they change that? You know, and that sense of entitlement, it grows and it grows more and more and more. And the more you feed it, the more it grows. I'm not saying it's bad, but you have to remember it's all entitlement. Like
yeah, no, you're right.
And that's what stems with the community, especially with a lot of players. And that's how communities can shape games. Like communities can always shape games, and it's hive mind. That's all it is.
Yeah, 98.7%. Like, but I was thinking like. I understand what you're saying. You're just saying it's purely entitlement. Because when I look at like someone's criticism, I'm like, okay, show me your workings out. Let me see the logic. Let me see the facts. Show me the workings out. And a lot of people, no pie charts, man. It's just words. It's just algebra, and there's no solutions because they're
I feel it should be this way.
Yeah, why? And then if the worst argument is, oh, because it was like that in another game, it's like I cannot think of a good game. Like, for an example, when people say like MVCI is whack, MVC3 is better. MVC3 is a terrible game. I like that. I love that game. That game is sick. Exactly. As a fighting game, it's terrible. But even then, where do I get that from? Why is it terrible? Like, I can say because this, and this. But should it not be like that? Is that what a fighting game is meant to be? Yeah. Like, to me, MVC is terrible because of characters like Zero. Like, it's not... To me, that's not fighting. Getting touched once and then having to guess block on incoming or you lose that character, that's the opposite of fighting. There's no fighting. Someone's getting banged up. There's no fighting involved. Phoenix, you don't fight Phoenix. You weather the storm. That's not fighting to me, but the game's fun. And I see this. I think Cross Tekken and MVCI were good games because you had opportunities. You had legit. I love this DBZ patch. I cannot imagine a timeline where guard cancels aren't invincible. That blew my mind. And then when
a crazy change.
and then they made guard cancels invincible. Like even Fury would get this. They made guard cancels invincible, and a lot of people don't like the patch.
These people are weird.
Isn't a guard cancel meant to be invincible for the purpose of getting people off of you? Like,
Game is slow. My block strings. My block strings.
like it's beyond me. But I always go, okay, this is what I see a core fundamental to a fighting game. A guard cancel being invincible because otherwise it's pointless. It's a guess in block. You might as well mash a button. That's how I see it. You might as well just press your fastest button instead of doing a guard cancel because it's the same result if it's going to get hit. And I was thinking, where do people get their, or I can ask you to, your notions of fighting games. So, Fit, what in your head? What's your head canon to a fighting game?
What's my head canon to a fighting game?
Yeah, what is a fighting game? Like deep questions.
That's a bit much, mate. What is the meaning of life? What is a fighting game?
I told you, make them low.
No, there's no. It's just space control. Like that. That's all I think of fighting games as. So that can be extrapolated in whatever way you want it to be. I don't know. Like that's all I think of when I think of fighting games is space control. So there's no objectivity to what a fighting game should be, right? So in my head, when you do a DP with Ryu, it should be fucking invulnerable because that is what I grew up with and that is what I expect. But I just, like you were saying, that doesn't make it valid just because I fucking remember it to be like that. It's just different. We're on a different timeline, mate. This is a different dimension. You gotta get used to shit. It's that's all it is.
So is it a case? Oh, RMZ, you got something to add?
Nah, my cat was just stuck in the door.
Is the cat got something to add?
Yeah,
I'm taking input from everyone, bro. Like Twitter, cats, whatever. Bring it.
She's about on the strip.
I was gonna say, do you? What do you think? Oh yeah, we'll go with you. Do you think we have to kind of stop trying to categorize fighting games? Like, I'm gonna bring it up. People are gonna get feelings are gonna get caught. And I think I've said this, maybe not like publicly, or I might have not vocalized it. Smash is a fighting game to me. Logically, phonetically, 2 characters are fighting, or 3 or 4, they're fighting. So Smash is a fighting game to me. I know people say it's not traditional because it doesn't have a health bar, and I'm like, whatever. Like, if it makes you sleep better at night, okay, cool. It's not a traditional, but the characters are fighting. It's a beat 'em up. What do you think going forward, the direction of like fighting games? Do you think they should take an avenue to be like, okay, this is what are fundamental to fighting games? Like, I know it sounds stupid or obvious, but a first-person shooter has to be in first person. Or like MOBAs. Most MOBAs, you assume that it's going to be bird's eye view, but Smite isn't. And I've heard people say it's not mobile. And it's like, is it not?
Well, it'll be conflicting for me to disagree because the field that I work in, especially with computers and IT, it's always evolving and definitions always change. All that matters are the people playing them. Like, it's just cop-out answer, but all that matters are the people playing. Like, fighting games are always going to evolve, they're always going to change. It's not always going to be the same recipe that Street Fighter 2 put for us. Yeah. Right? Like, because Street Fighter 2 is that's the backbone, and that's a skeleton of every fighting game out now. Like, that health bar, 2 people licking each other. Those are the ingredients. We can improve upon it if we keep those elements, but how far do you improve upon it is what you're asking. I don't know. I feel like there's going to come a stage where it just becomes Dark Souls. And then... and to me, Dark Souls is a fighting game. So, but exactly, it says... Like, to me, like, you said what he said, mine is a dance. It's not just space control. Fighting games are a dance. Yeah, you're dancing with your opponent, and they either dance to your rhythm or you're dancing to theirs. Like that's all it is. It's a coordinated dance, and you're trying to figure out their rhythm by figure out theirs. You can dance aggressively, you can dance wherever you want. You can dance in any space you want. Yeah. But that's what grand dance. And as long as those elements stay, but how far it goes, I can't know. I wouldn't like. If it goes to Dark Souls, then you can't call that a fighting game. That's what I mean. Like, it could.
this fighting game thing could get so developed, like hybrid, where they take elements from other games, like even something small as like Soul Calibur using weapons. And I know they've always done that, but is it going to be like a subgenre like weapon fighter instead of a fighting game? It's like, who knows? Like in another timeline, Smash could be an evolved version of fighting games, where it's like health bars are stupid. Health bars. Why would you die as soon as your health bar goes down? That doesn't make any sense. Because you can say, well,
or like Def Jam, it'd be a flow.
Yeah.
The clothes are ripped.
Yeah.
PlayStation All Stars, you only can kill with certain attacks. Like, who's to say that that's not that could be a potential evolution of fighting game? Like for me, you two have kind of covered up what a fighting game is for you. For me, it's about expression. Like before I got into fighting games, I got in pretty late. I came in like Marvel times, and then I sort of knew about the scene just before Street Fighter 4 came out. But for me, I played fighting games because it was one of the only genres where nothing can tell you you're doing it wrong. In other games, if you're playing a solo game, if you're playing Dark Souls, someone can look at you and go, you're doing that wrong. No one can tell you that in a fighting game because it's the way you play it. You might not win, but it's not incorrect because it might be someone else or whatever. And that's what I look in a fighting game, is being expressive. And if you can't express yourself, I'm like, well, what's the point of playing it then? Like, it's the complete opposite to why I would play a game. So, with my thought process on that, I just dislike games where you can't express yourself. So, like, the reversal thing in Street Fighter 5 was a bit whack for me. I played Nash, so I didn't have it anyway. But other characters not having it, I still caught feelings. And it's like, even though it makes my life easier, I'm like, but if you want to express, get off me, how do you do that now?
Yeah.
Wake up soon.
I guess, but then you have to wait. And then there's a restriction. There shouldn't be any, outside of character, like, types and archetypes, there shouldn't be restrictions, I feel. Like, everyone having to wait to 3 bars is a restriction that everyone has. And it doesn't, that takes away the unique aspects of certain characters. Someone having a DP should have a DP. Like, I know that obviously comes from old school games and DPs always being known as invincible, but I feel, like, archetypes and stuff are important in fighting games. And it feels like a lot of that's getting lost. Like, there's obviously core mechanics that you have where everyone has it, which makes sense, but there's some where certain characters shouldn't have it. And I think there's a lot more universal mechanics than before. And I remember like an old school argument about Third Strike and the parry system. The parry system was put in there to make everyone viable, but it just made the good characters even better.
Yeah.
And the bad characters good. So it rose everyone up the same level. So it didn't make a difference. Does it?
I mean,
you got parry. I've never seen someone parry Ganasian, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I mean, like like Ganasian is like an extreme example, but
I know, I'm an asshole.
You know, like Chun-Li is super good because she can just do down parry, crouch medium kick, like constantly, right? It's just a basic option select and always convert off it. Shit characters in that game don't convert off parries properly, so the better characters are a lot of the time better characters, not only because they have like better tools, but they, you know, get more from a parry, from the universal mechanic. You look at Street Fighter 4, people that benefited from the focus system, like Fei Long, Akuma, Rose, Evil Ryu, they're all good characters because they benefited from the universal mechanics. I agree with you that I think what they're doing, you know, like there's the whole thing of like there is no such thing as a balanced fighting game. It's impossible, right? Because everyone has different tools.
Yeah.
So the way they're approaching that in Street Fighter 5 is clearly, and I don't think correctly, but they are doing it, is to remove as many tools as possible and basically just go like strip everyone back to the same basic game plan. Most characters can put you in a 50-50 situation. This is where you want to be in because there's no reversals. It is a one-size-fits-all game plan for every character.
The true onesie fire, yeah? Onesie fire.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, you get like a really basic idea of what to do with every single character, and that is how they're approaching balancing it. But I want to say, I literally wrote this down because I didn't want it to leave my head. I think a lot of the people's hating how games change is because of the quick turnover of games now, where like Street Fighter 4 was out for a fucking long time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a long-lasting game. Yeah. And so what people think of fighting games from that generation that started with Street Fighter 4 They think Street Fighter 4 is the fighting game. We're saying Street Fighter 2. I grew up with Street Fighter 2, so I think Street Fighter 2 is the fighting game, even though it's shit. Like, that is like what the definition of a fighting game is. Regardless of the history, that's my history because that's what I grew up with. Balrog Super should be safe on block. That's what my brain fucking thinks, even though it's mad. Like, so because the games turn over so quickly now, like there's a new game constantly that you could get into, or a new patch even, and it completely changes how the game is. So that means that people are constantly having something to hate rather than something to deal with. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I never expected Street Fighter 2 to change because it didn't change, and that was how the game's played. People changed it, but the developers didn't touch it. Now, there is the constant threat of, like, something's going to change in this game, and now everything's different. People hate guard cancels. I am guaranteeing it's not just because what it does to the game's meta, it's just because they're not fucking used to it. You give this a year, is anyone going to be talking about how guard cancels used to be? Fuck no. I don't think you give a shit. Like, how many people are complaining about, like, Blitz now, where, like, going, oh, you know, I used to like it when we would trade blitzes back and forth for, like, half an hour. Like,
That was joke stuff.
it was jokes.
Took that out. They took it out.
But the first patch one is because you gain the bar back, so you can literally do it infinite. You could do it infinitely, but then they made it finite.
They took it out.
No,
Yeah, you can't. You can trade blitzes, but you can't do it infinitely.
You can't do it
Oh,
infinitely,
that was
yeah.
sick.
I mean, at the time, I thought it was whack, but now I look back, I was like, no, that's sick. That's a sick meta game. That's a sick mind game. Like, and yeah, that might be nostalgia, but yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. There's a lot of it is always going to be down to preference in it, and your origins. Like what you're used to will be your foundation to how things should be. And
absolutely,
I don't think that's ever going to be but you can't change that. You actually can't,
No.
unless you make everyone go play every game and go like, look, now you've seen the law of the land. You pick the game that you think is right for you, and then you base every game off of that, which is stupid. Like, everyone does it. Like CBS 2, there was so much BS in that game, but everyone praises that game, bro. That game is
shit.
That game is horrendous. That game is horrendous. Bro, every game is horrendous. Every game is horrendous, bar dive kick when you pick diving kick. In honestly opinion, that is the only time where balance is fun.
But this isn't just for fighting games, right? This is for competitive gaming. Counter-Strike 1.6, right, was the most popular Counter-Strike. Another Counter-Strike Source came out, people fucking hated it because it was different. And to you, it would not be different. To people who play it seriously, it's fucking different. Right. Counter-Strike Global Offensive came out and people fucking hated it because for a lot of reasons, but one of the major ones was when you hold fire on the gun, the way that the bullets spray outwards was different from 1.6. So they then tried to marry that up as closely as possible to that version of Counter-Strike, the most popular one, and then Counter-Strike Global Offensive became more popular. There's a bit more nuance to it, but whatever, just for the sake of brevity. So they wanted what they used to have, so they demanded that, and that's what they got. And then the game became popular because the old school people loved it, and the new school people didn't give a fuck in the first place. So there is that whole thing of, like, this is just a competitive gaming thing. You spend 5 years of your fucking life doing something, man, like, and it changes, like, from under you. I used to love zoning with fireballs. Zoning with fireballs barely fucking exists in Street Fighter nowadays.
Nah. You have to play Injustice. You literally have to play Injustice to play a zoning game.
Maybe
exactly.
You're Lord Doc. Lost on dark side.
And that's fucked. Like, you literally lose something you enjoyed in a fighting game because
money.
Long live
Anyway,
man.
Money. Yeah. People actually make money. Yeah. But anyway, because people have to make money from games.
That's fair. I was gonna say at RMZ, so I'm gonna go back to Cross Tekken because I personally feel Cross Tekken was on the right path. I think a good compromise to everything we've been saying is to let people play their game the way they want to play it. And I think even though it wasn't implemented properly, the gem system was that. So I could say, I know there wasn't a gem for this, but just imagine this, right? You go play Cross Tekken, Street Fighter 5 is your foundation for some reason, right? You can have a gem where it's like, okay, your character has doesn't have invincible reversals, but they can throw loop. I don't know. So, for example, so you take an element of a game that some people might find normal or like, and then allow you to play that in a game. And I have a gem was like, look, bruv, from day one, supers have been safe on block, like theory. So you can have a gem that makes your reversal safe on block, your supers are safe on block.
Yeah,
Would that not be a good compromise, do you think?
Depends, because some people like rules. I like rules.
Right.
I love getting expression, and sometimes I want expression. But if I'm making money, I want rules.
But the rules would be that you have to look at the other guy's gem to see what he can do.
Yeah, I know, but like I like constraint, because sometimes constraint brings restrictions.
Yeah.
Constraint brings creativity. I agree with you. I agree that it would be like, but that'll be one game. That'll be one flavor. I wouldn't say that would be like my flavor. That'll be a great game. It's kind of like how I love Multi Blood. Multi Blood is exactly what you said. There's like 9 different variations.
Moon, half moon, crescent moon, certain characters are broken in certain moon states, like certain groups, basically.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, CVS 2 was like that. Some characters just... CVS 2.
Yeah.
Some characters you only could play in a specific groove, otherwise they were garbage.
And another game that I like a lot, so... Obviously for me, I like that you have that flavor of difference, like you. But for some people, they like constraint. Like ST is very constrained. They like that realm where there's not that many variables, and I can appreciate that. But for me, a fighting game should allow you, like you just said, that's one element, and that's one element we're missing now. A game that has right now the games are very constrained. Now there's not as much freedom of expression, like what you just said. Like CVS2s, the SFXTs, the Multi Bloods, where you have like. There's a meta game in picking your choices. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in Multi Blood, you have 3 styles, but your characters can be played in 3 or 4 different ways of each style. So you can have 9 different out of tools that they have. You know what I mean? So so that element in games, yes, that element's not here that much. Now games are more like what I wanted, but to the extreme. Like now everyone has like a super dash. Everyone has something. But because they all have this one thing, it's played in a weird way. It's played in like the game's played. It's forced to play it a certain way.
Yeah, I argue what you're saying. I remember when Marvel 3 got the first patch I think it was, and they made it so you could X Factor in the air, and I hated it because the first thing I thought was like, well, everyone's got an X Factor combo now. Because before it was only like Taskmaster, because Taskmaster could do like arrows. X Factor continue the combo, but because everyone can do it in the air now, it was like, well, it gave everyone the same route, sort of like how MVCI turned out to be. Because MVCI, it doesn't matter what kind of combo you've done, you can literally do ABC and do the same damage, and it took away creativity. It took away being unique. I want to throw this at theory because what Ramsey's saying is about the difference between having rules, restraints, and having too much freedom. Personally, I feel. I don't like BB tag because there's nothing you can't do in that game. Bar character specific stuff, mechanically, there's literally nothing you can't do with the tag system. Do you think that's a fair judgment, and is that why you like it?
I think for me, the character specific stuff is what allows a game to causes its limitations. So. Say you're playing like Aki or whatever, the tag system you're using is different from the tag system I'm using. It's the same. It goes back to the first strike parry thing, right? Different characters are going to use that universal mechanic differently, regardless of it kind of having some like what you're thinking of everyone being the same is because what everyone wants is the same, not what everyone can do. Everyone wants to be able to abuse the tag system, set up a sandwich situation, and like mix you up with the activation. But realistically, not every character can do that, and that is a big reason why certain characters are top tier. Same in First Strike. I think the problem is when you give everyone everything and ultimate freedom, is one thing inevitably becomes better than everything else. Like the meta just evolves. And where it evolves normally leads to something actually pretty fucking boring. So where BB Tag ended up, because because people had so much flexibility, it was like actually the objective best thing to do is a sandwich situation. There really isn't any exceptions to that rule. Like, that is objectively what you want. Maybe a command grab character exists outside of that, but barely. So this ultimate freedom, like, look at MVCI, what people were doing with the tag system. If you watched how Alioum played, like, early on, I don't have any fucking doubt that the game would have probably ended up staying at that sort of meta for a really fucking long time if a lot of people had stuck with it. Where it was just like, if you block anything, you might fucking lose. Because the tag system has a hit to it and ret-a-tear, and like, I think the more freedom you allow people within the universal mechanics actually ends up in a more limited game. You look at, I'm not trying to tout Cross Tekken as the best game in the world, but like,
Sure, I'll do that anyway, fam. Don't worry about it.
all right, but because actually the universal mechanics were fine, but they weren't as super abusable. What was abusable were the top tier characters. They were fucking like stupid, but those characters were stupid in different ways. All 4 of the top tier characters were actually stupid in pretty different and creative ways. In a game where the universal mechanics are dominant, normally the top tiers are quite homogenous in terms of what their game plan is. So, I don't know. That's my thought on them. I don't know if that answers shit, but...
No, it does to a degree. I mean, the only, like, counter I can say to that is, like you're saying, obviously the meta just becomes so strong that everyone just gravitates to it because, you know, 98.7% of people, you know, play games to win. Fair enough, right? It doesn't really matter how they get the win. It's that they're doing the thing that gives them the win. Either the easiest, the easiest. Like that's what people do. You know, they want to work smart, not hard. So they want to do as little effort as possible. It's weird because it's in Marvel. Both times, is keep away became the strongest. Chris G became one of the strongest to say, but he became one of the strongest players playing a way that no one else played, and it wasn't. I want to say it wasn't. It depends on your like definition of meta. I don't think it was meta because you needed a lot more skill to do what he was doing, and a lot of people couldn't do it. The way he was zoning.
What type of segue is this, man?
No, I'm getting there. Like, because I'm just trying to. Basically,
what fucking draw out? That DP on that one gap in the blocks did.
Well, he's walking into his. Probably I don't even like. Nah, I can't even have that. Come off that. I'm taking you off the Discord. Allow that, bro. He's rummaging through drawers and then calling me out. Wait. So zoning in Marvel is pretty counterproductive, especially when it came to Infinite. Not how many people wrote off Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna shout myself out. I said Hawkeye was dope. But everyone writ him off, bro.
No, you're talking to the only 3 people. Yeah. I including Chuck and Aaron, because they know as well. But you're including the only 3 people out of the other, like, 2 who knew from like, the beginning. Are you forgetting what characters me and Free played? Are you forgetting Are you forgetting, like, I knew from day I couldn't walk forward.
Oh, that was long.
I saw where it got. I saw Theory go from mad aggressive to playing Arthur, fam. I saw it. I saw the evolution, bro. I saw it.
Fam, do you know how Carol and Brad?
Oh my god.
had to struggle getting in. You know that was. Anyway, let's just go.
But saying that, do you think Marvel as a game, and if you look at the whole roster of characters, that the meta was to zone, especially Marvel 3? I don't think it was. The way Chris G played it, and shout out to Dominion because he played that team as well, but he had Joe instead of Virgil, I think it was. But he was like, I'm doing full screen stuff. I'm gonna chip you to death. I know you've got touch of death. Like there was a million Spencers, a million Zeros. It's like, okay, you hit me once, you got your muscle memory down, I die. Same with like Marlon Pie, whatever. But Chris G he had to hit you 20 million times for him to win. And then MVCI came along. Everyone's saying Hawkeye's whack. There's no chip damage. What's the point of zoning? And now Jewel Kevin's beating everyone. He's beating all the Dante Dooms.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? It's gonna sound stupid. It's gonna sound like some like weed theory. But what is meta? Meta is meant to be the most popular and effective strategy, but that's not. Those 2 examples are not, and they work. Even if you take Kane Blue River, winning with big bodies, Hulk and Hagar, he had no business getting in on anyone, but he did it. So it's like, what is it's a rhetorical question. But what is meta? Why do people
we're
go
not
to
gonna-
a strategy? Like,
Yeah,
is it because it's
that's a
easy?
long topic, man.
Yeah,
That's a rabbit hole.
I definitely threw out rhetorical for a reason because I don't want an answer.
You better.
Oh, okay.
I back for Manchester. I'm not going into meta.
Okay, so to keep on the topic, do you think meta is what the developers of games put into a game, and they want you to do it? Do you
In
think
2019, in 2019, yeah.
Yeah.
but not before, like not prior?
No, before they probably did, but before they were probably weed. It was more lax, and there was less money. So they were like, well, whatever happens, happens. But now they have a rough idea of where the game should go, and that's based on their research of high level play of other games. So they have an idea, and it's obvious they have an idea because the second something is off from their plan, you can tell from the patches. Some patches you can tell like, wow, you might actually know what you're doing. Like when they take some things the way you're like, okay, now I see where they wanted the game to go. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like I do feel like now, the way the game is, where they want the game to go, they know that from early, and that's not because the design's getting better. They're just learning just like us. They're learning more from other games. They're watching more footage from other games. It's not like before when you just made a game from the head and you put it down. You're watching other games, looking at elements that are great from other games. You know, like like Children of Atom before. That was like the when Kota.
Shouts to Kota.
Yeah, like when that game dropped. Yeah, that game literally changed every fucking weird air dashing whatever game, not like game ever, and now you're seeing that's why you're seeing some of the air dashes or whatever you want to call them, all the games out now that like they're so, I'm not saying they're better than the 2D games the evolution wise, but like they're evolving in such cool ways because the accessibility and the internet has allowed these developers to learn more about these games, so they're adding in crazy elements into these games, you know. So that's why I like even like GG, even though people may not like it, but like the graphics, everything else, and Dragon Ball Z is how crazy it is. Like, but still, Dragon Ball Z is accessible as shit for people.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's just the expression. But it's also a double-edged sword. Like like I said about the meta, because you know what to put into your game, but now you know about the game plans. You already know how a character should play. So they design a character in a certain way. So they restrict your character. Whereas before, they might have given that time of day, but now there's money's to be made. You know what I mean? And now you're at risk. You're at mercy of the developers. You are at mercy of developers even more now. You're at mercy of developers who might be doing it because there's like another reason. Like they have to like appease a boss, or there's a pro tour, or there's something else.
Yeah.
So games are now designed with that in mind. So they design with elements that spectators might like, or spectators might gravitate to, which you may or may not internalize with how you play games. Like with the Ultra, the revenge meter, or just the way the system is designed, like with no chip. Like that may not be what you like, but that might be what spectators like. So the game is designed that way. So yeah, like all of those elements together, man, just create some madness.
I think it's a lot of the old games are objectively happy accidents. Like Marvel 2 is in no world designed to play like how it plays. In no fucking world.
Yeah.
And I'll even go as far to say the Street Fighter 4 wasn't either. Even with like a team that was a bit more experienced.
I don't think they knew about vortexes. I think vortexes are wrong. Yeah.
Not even vortex. Plinks.
Yeah.
Plinks?
Select plinking was an accident.
Yeah.
That was a coding error. That was a code line fucking error.
Yeah.
In code.
Did they think like Takedo and fucking Zach Bennett were gonna turn up like couple of months into the game and then start doing fucking Akuma option selects on people? Fuck no, dude.
No.
Like no one was expecting that shit. What's cool now is because like RMZ was saying, developers now have the opportunity to add this bullshit into games. Like Skullgirls is a perfect example of that. They have actively gone, we are going to keep the shit from Marvel 2
That you say you like.
that we like, but we're just going to give it a bit more objectivity. We're going to actually explain what guard cancels are, like push bot guard cancel. Marvel 2, it was like this mythical thing that you've like heard about from some guy behind Nando's, you know what I mean? Now it's like an objective thing. You look at Street Fighter 5, there was no execution really in the game. Then they added Menat. She's an execution character and actually does have hard shit she can do. Like, now the developers, if they're fucking good, which they're often not, but they can add this shit in, going like, actually, let's add something that's fucking crazy. Let's add Menat in the game and I give her a fuck ton of execution in a game that doesn't have any. They can choose to do this.
You know what's messed up with about Menat? I don't like talking about that game, but that's acknowledging something. When developers do that, you're actually acknowledging something. It's crazy. You're like, let me add in this character. High execution. You that means you're bloody admitting that there's no fucking execution.
It's kind of like, it's basically them getting a pound on the back for doing something that Guilty Gear done from the beginning. Like, every character in Guilty Gear plays differently, has a set win criteria checklist.
But get a pound on the back for it, mate.
Yeah.
For one character, I have how many in Street Fighter? But anyway, like, not trying to bash Street Fighter 5. Obviously, that's not what they're going for, because arguably, like, Guilty Gear's made mad mistakes. Mad mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, Guilty Gear is not a perfect game, and back in the day, I would try and preach it, but there's a lot of elements in that game. Like, Danger Time was clearly for spectators. The only it was terrible.
Literally made no sense.
No player wanted Danger Time. Bro,
Hey,
shouts
but
to Romo. He would
Shouts
put down
to
his
Romo.
stick. He would, even in
train
tournament, he would hit, if he got Danger Time in tournament, he would put his stick down and not play. He refused to play in Danger Time.
Bro, I put training on it.
It's just a stupid, well, it's not stupid, because, I mean, if I see someone else in Danger Time, I giggle a little bit to myself, because it's like, well, shit could happen. I might see a Slayer touch of death. This could be sick. Like,
Yeah, like, it is the sickest shit. Like, it's the worst thing, but fucking no one in this world is going to say that a Slayer 100% combo in Danger Time isn't fucking hype.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's bollocks, and it should never be in the game. It's the sickest shit you'll ever see. Danger Time, counter hit pole bump. Fuck me, dude. That's so good. Oh,
that's
whole health.
But no, see, you just said it. You literally just said it. You're agreeing with the developer who put that in. Mate, these developers don't give two. Bro, these men are on the bully, bro. These men are just.
They're like, the players won't like it, but the spectators will, so here you go. Other than that, there's a couple of other things in Guilty Gear, but Guilty Gear is definitely not a perfect game. The developers are fucked up now, and they're obviously, a lot of the Guilty Gear heads are like, oh my god, they're making this game easier, when, like, Guilty Gear is kind of like the last bastion of hard games.
You know what I don't get? Like, you guys know I stopped before Rev 2 came out. Like, I just don't get how there's this sudden, like, hate for Johnny that came out of nowhere.
Oh, bro,
Like-
don't.
No troll aside. Like, I saw his changes. Like I get it, but like, it went from he had some hate to have like now it's a meme. Like it became a meme. Like people I know who were okay with Johnny were saying, oh, you know what? Play this game ever again becomes Johnny.
Bro, that's an impression of me. That's an impression of me, and I will hold it. I stopped playing that game. Yeah, bro, I stopped playing that game because they buffed Johnny again. They buffed Johnny and they buffed Eno and Faust.
What, because he could fucking misfire and dash?
No. It wasn't just that. So, not to go into like the details, but basically, that character turned out to be, if the person playing Johnny played properly, you can't beat him. He had no mistakes in his toolkit.
Mate, come on, Johnny, man, come on.
Bro, you're acting like I was like bro, I played that game from the beginning.
I know you did. That's my point.
I tried, fam. This was before I stopped playing that, before DBZ dropped. Even really before it got announced. When I won the last versus fight in 2017, and then they did the patch, and then they made Leo arguably worse. And I was like, okay, let me see what they're doing to everyone else. They buffed Faust. Faust has never been nerfed, and he was already top tier. Johnny, they gave back his unblockable. They took it away, then they gave it back and went, oh no, it does less damage. It's like, what? No, you get rid of the unblockable because it's cheap. Don't give it back to him and then say, oh, but we've reduced the damage, or you need to spend more bar. I think you have to spend like 75 tension.
Yeah, you got 75, yeah.
It's like, it's still an unblockable. I don't care how much it costs you. It's unblockable.
They sped up backers and they're like, oh, when you get hit now, when you can wiggle out faster.
Just why is man fighting, putting a mist on you, and then hitting you with a sword that you can't block? How stupid is that? Like, he ruined the game for me, bro. And then Eno was more of a matchup thing. Johnny to a degree is a matchup. Like, Johnny Leo is not very good, but I've seen other people play Johnny's, and Omoto makes them look like chumps. And that's not cool to me, bro. That's not cool. When top level players, one of them's looking like an idiot. That's not because
you know I mean on his job, yeah. You know when he's like, you know when the Johnny players in their stride.
It's not cool, bro. It was never that bad. Even when Ogre was winning, it wasn't that bad. When Omoto's winning, he's cleaning everyone. Everyone looks like they just like done tutorial. That's not cool, bro. That game is. I want the change. Just I don't care what. I don't care if they add auto combos or anything, smart combos, whatever. Just make it so when I play that character, I'm not winning because they messed up. I want to win because I did something smart. You can't do anything smart against Johnny, bro. You can't. Same with Eno. You have to be dumb to beat Eno. You have to do reverse psychology to beat Eno.
I think basically what happened with Johnny was like some top players had genuine concerns of the character getting buffed. And then all the people that didn't actually know how to fight Johnny in the fucking first place are now going like, yeah man, Johnny's too good because I got fucked up by Dimcho. And it's like, no, Dimcho's just better than you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple.
No, because I remember when I was playing, yeah, and I was still learning. I was just beating people. I was like, yeah, I know Johnny, like, okay, I know he's strong. Like I'm not even gonna try and kid it. You have noticed. I know. I learned he was strong because I learned that I can kill people in 2 successions. in 2 hits.
2 hits.
2 fucking hits. And just execution. And that was just easy. So just trying to get the hit was really hard.
And imagine if you've been playing games that character since day. Looking like what's it, Euro Legion. Bruv, you thought about whiffing a button, he would punish you. Like that character is wild, bruv. He's bananas. And he made the game, for me personally, he made the game more fun. If I was playing Johnny, I would have the time of my life, but I don't. I play Leo. Right, I can't run. I've only got a dash. I don't live in back turn, so I can't counter. If I miraculously react to a misfinder, like whatever, like the game, he could be the worst thing I've ever seen. Him and Sentinel Health getting nerfed. They were like the 2 biggest fuck ups to the FTC.
Wait, Sentinel Health is
no. Sentinel deserved that, bro. That guy was.
You're great, bro. Stop it now. You're memeing. Stop it. You're actually memeing.
He should. Sentinel was too much.
What you talk, bro? They patched him off. Yeah, he's definitely. He's finish your Big Mac, bro, and then come back because I know you're trolling me.
But sorry.
Like that character got worse and worse every single time someone opened that game up. Every time you load up a game of Marvel 3, Sentinel is somehow worse. Like,
how are they nerfing that character, bro? Just all it was Sentinel drones. That's all he
ever was. No, bro.
No, you watch Ray Ray too much, bro. The character wasn't that bad.
No, not Ray Ray, bro.
You
bro, Symbian ran the tournament, yeah?
MDC 3, I'm not talking about 2, 3.
I'm talking about 3, yeah.
Bro, they nerfed his health, why?
Bro, Symbian ran the tournament, yeah? When, like after the game got patched, yeah? He fought pre-patch Sentinel, and we were playing, we're like, raw, my Sentinel got so much health. Then we remembered.
These are mad, bro. Sentinel turned into a plastic, bro. He actually turned to plastic.
He did. No,
a massive robot having like mid-health. It's stupid, bro. No, bro.
In the show,
that's master mold, bro. He's sending out other Sentinels. And people just... And the problem was X Factor. X Factor did too much damage. That's all it was. They were moaning about Sentinel.
And the DAC glitch.
Yeah, with Storm. Bro, Storm never got touched. She was an enabler, bro. She was a carrier of players.
Enabler.
She was an enabler, bro. That DAC glitch was cheap. She allowed Wolverine to run rampant. After the Berserker Slash
glitch was the best shit.
Why can they not... Why? How many years has it been since DACs have been out and they still can't get it right? There's a DAC glitch in DBZ.
What was that?
There's a DAC glitch in DBZ. To this day,
really?
It was only in the last update, to be fair, but they still can't get DACs right. I mean, I'm not a programmer, but Super into Super seems pretty easy.
There's too many variables. There's too many characters, man. There is.
I would take out the length. I would wait until the length of the total frame of the fucking super I just did is ended.
Yeah, you just make the window smaller, or you move it away from Just move.
Yeah, because like Broly, like you just get Broly like extensions. You get Vidal's DHC glitch.
There's just DHCs, bro. It's not. I think out of all the aspects of a fighting game, I'm gonna hit up Sean because Sean's making a game. Let me ask him. I know he hasn't got a team versus game, but I'm like, look, are DHCs that hard to do? Like real talk. Because I look at Skullgirls and I know it wasn't perfect at the beginning, but they address all of that. They address unblockables. They address DHCs. They've got the whole guard cancel mechanic. They've got IP protection, so you can't get infinited. Like, and that's the grassrootest developer we've got. No one plays the game, even though they make games basically to what people like. The game is a love child of the FGC.
Yeah,
Panty shots and all. Panty shots and all.
They fucked up. I don't even know where the topic is at this point, but they fucked up. We're gone. Like, we went down the wrong path, mate. We're gone up a one-way street at this point. But the Skullgirls was shit when it dropped. Like, let's be real.
Yeah,
it was like I played it, pretty religiously when it first came out, and then about a month in, everyone suddenly fucking was doing 20-hour combos, and it was unplayably bad. Like, it was just a bad game, like objectively shit. There was really good stuff in it, but it was just a really fucking bad game, and it got dropped immediately by everyone because, aesthetics bred her hair. But like, it was just bad. Now it's become a fucking incredibly good game. At the end of the day, it's the same as Cross Tekken. Cross Tekken's first patch was fucking terrible. The second release of the game was amazing, but the first version was fucking really bad. So it's that whole thing, man. Like, first impressions matter. You know what I mean? You got your fly undone, and your first impression ain't gonna do shit. Like, you gotta sort that shit out. So I don't know. That's how I feel about Skullgirls. I think it's like a great game, but if you fuck up that first day release, people ain't gonna be happy, man. People ain't gonna pick it up. It's a hard pressed thing.
He dead.
Yeah, yep, DOA, bro. Literally DOA. Core values. Just down the pan. Okay, so I'll try and wrap it up. Almost 2 hours. So I guess overall we're saying games are directed at spectators. Is that unanimous?
Yeah.
It's undeniable.
Yeah, it's subjective.
So when they're making most of the changes, it's for a spectator aspect. So like, this looks better rather than this is useful for the player to use X, Y, and Z. Do you think that that's the only avenue they are gonna go for? Do you think there's any other alternative, or is this the timeline? Is this the timeline we're going for? Is it?
I think
they have to make it look good for esports.
I think they're getting better at being able to do both at the same time. You can make a game spectator friendly and still keep core mechanics. You look at Tekken 7, right? They've got that slowdown, they've got rage, they've got all this sort of shit. The game is still insanely competitive.
That's because they know the core. The core of the game is solid.
Absolutely. And it's only gotten better, like, I believe Tekken... Did Tekken 6 have rage?
I think 7 is one of the worst ones. If everyone wants to pick...
I don't want your honest opinion. People love that shit, man.
No. That's the thing. No, but you don't hear what I'm saying. I don't think it's one of the best ones.
Right.
That's my point. Like what May said before. I don't hate it. I don't have any reservations for it. I'm okay with this evolution. I know it's fantastic for some people. It's not like the greatest one for me.
Yeah.
Still, it's still a game. Like, I'm like, it's still a game,
Yeah. But that is like an example of like being able to put a spectator friendly mechanic in a game and that mechanic not taking so much away from competitive play. I think developers are just going to get better at doing that shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, making it so zoning is something that's actually interesting for spectators by giving like enough variation in it. Chris G's zoning was actually quite interesting to watch for a lot of people because it wasn't just like, actually, fuck that. Better example, Hawkeye zoning in MVCI is interesting to watch because it is not just sitting full screen and doing something. It's like you have to come up with a game plan around the zoning. It's like counter movement. There are ways of doing things like zoning that aren't spectator friendly and making them spectator friendly without removing zoning. I think there was a snap decision with Street Fighter 5 and shit like that generation of going like, we need to remove everything people hate. Now it's like, actually, we can start reintroducing that shit and just figure out how to do it in a way that isn't going to fucking make people hate the game.
Sounds like a hard job.
Yeah, it's pretty much like impossible, but you know, someone will figure it out.
People were haters.
Yeah, man.
Do you think like they need to just make a new franchise? Like someone needs to like
Yeah.
because Street Fighter 5 started on like a bad footing.
Leave it alone.
Fighters in the street. I won't put it Street Fighter 5. Yeah, Fighters in the street. Cross Tekken. The tarnish from Cross Tekken and Crossing the Line has tarnished a lot of stuff that Capcom has done. Like Crossing the Line was. I think people don't even remember why they don't like Capcom anymore. Like that was when people said like Capcom the shit. Before that, no one really ever said Capcom was shit. Even if they made shit games.
They did.
No, they did. But like now it's
publicly like this. Like to Capcom's face, maybe behind closed door to their face though.
People fucking hated Street Fighter 4, man. People fucking hated Street Fighter 4. Like you didn't see it because the majority of players, like it's a different scope of majority of players, right? So everyone the FGC was fucking small before Street Fighter 4 in a lot of ways. Like it was pretty small. Street Fighter 5 brought a lot. Street Fighter 4 brought a lot of life to the FGC. Mm-hmm. What you probably will miss if you just started in Street Fighter, like let's say Super, was like people fucking hated Street Fighter 4. People hated it. I hated it. Everyone hated people to play it. Like, you know, there's a reason why the whole 09er thing happened, right? It was just like Scrubs playing this shit casual game. It's got ultras. You just fucking get hit, DPF ADC. It's bollocks. It's slower than ST. It's not as deep as fucking First Strike. It's not as fun as Alpha. Like, you know, everyone hated that shit. But
Speak your truth, King.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with it, but like that's what everyone was saying. You know, like it's always this. This is always just a thing.
What I know a lot. I remember people not liking it. Like people made it public. Like Ultra David made it public. I remember guys like Rennick, bro. He hated that game. He hated it, and he only played Cross Tekken because Alex, King cosplaying as Alex was in it. But he said he liked that more. But I feel like every generation it's like, oh, that last game was better.
Yeah.
And loads of Third Strike players said that 4 was shit, but it's like, but Third Strike's not that good. Like, it's parries for a spectator are gas. They're always going to be gas. That will never get old. They will never get old. But you have to understand your game is shit. Like, Third Strike is shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not gonna rant. This is gonna create another rant.
Every game is shit. Every game is shit.
Sorry.
Bar dive kick.
That's
what I'm gonna say.
Every game is trash.
Melty's shit, bro. I play Goa. It's shit, bro.
Melty's sick.
I don't want to hear that.
No, it's fun until you get going.
And speaking of which,
Thank
you, see?
French bread motherfuckers.
Bro, when that guy opens up his trench coat and a deer jumps out, that game is shit, bro.
The deer is sick, bro. The deer is sick, man. Like,
bro, man's flashy in the park with a massive... Man looks like he's a budget Wesker. And he's got deer jumping out of his feet, bro.
Exactly, bro. Man like calls.
Look, every game is shit. Just play dive kick if you want to play a fair game.
Except Multi Blood.
Bro, every move is shit in Multi Blood. Stop it. But the game is fun. The game is fun. And I don't know...
Yeah, like, I know we completely missed the original point. which is okay.
It's fine. It's God's plan.
Which is fine. But to round it up before I fold my clubs, community shit, all you man are shit.
Wow.
You all are clowns. You all need to have your own brains. You all need to have your own brains. You all need to stop fucking following people. Stop hive minding.
Should we all just play Unis? Is that what you're basically saying?
All fucking play French bread. Play Unis. Under stairs in birth.
Under the stairs, fam. Under the stairs.
Under stairs in birth.
Under stairs in birth. And just just play what you want to play, but just acknowledge the fact that if the older games, like don't when the older lot are saying they're not sounding sour, It's not that we're sour. We're saying things that were actually different, and the games that you're playing are trash. Like, I'll be very honest to you.
Like they were back then.
Huh?
Like they were back then.
Yeah, our games are trash. Your games are trash.
It's just different trash, man. It's recycling and it's general waste.
That's
Yeah,
literally it, bro.
like
Black bags and red bags.
Yeah, we had gems. We had a lot of shit. But you guys have actual shit that they're selling to you and marketing to you that is good. And the good games don't get played. Like what absolute bollocks is that? Like, you're into some genjutsu, bro.
Yeah, you're paying £20 per season to play a shit game. That is a big difference.
Meanwhile, Eunice has existed this whole time. And only now you man say, all right, Eunice, you know?
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good point to, like, end it off on. Like, the fact that they are marketing these stupid, dumb mechanics as, oh no, it's good that it's like this. And it's like, people praise Marvel 2. Have you ever seen someone get unblockable from full screen by a cable gun into Luke's death, bro? That's dark.
No, you know, no. Let's highlight the shit. Have you ever got FTGK? Have you got
FTGK, yeah.
option select? Have you someone option selected all your options, including breathing, bro?
Asphyxiation.
Mate, you selecting your character got option selected. It's fucking mad. But First Strike at the highest level is the least fun thing in the world, unless you are also that good.
All these games are trash. They're all trash. Like all our old games are trash. Don't let us lie to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the argument that it was harder is also kind of redundant because it's just a different type of hard. Like execution hard and reacting to super dashing, they're both hard. They're just, different. They're just different
forms of difficult.
Yeah. I just want everyone. Yes, your games are trash, but ours are trash too. Let's not lie. They don't get twisted. They're all trash, but you're getting marketed your trash, and you've got to play your trash. But we don't have to. That's different. You're getting shit shoved down your throat. We had a choice.
Okay, so I'll aim this at both of you two, and you've both played Unist, right?
Yeah.
Do you like when it came out? I remember all the old school players, people like Sabin in America, and all them lot were saying like this is the perfect blend of anime and Street Fighter, like footsies and air dasher. No one cared then. Literally no one cared, especially in Union. No one cared. It wasn't balanced though. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't that good.
Like pretty bad on the first release.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like, what's his face? Wallstein had the longest, most boring infinite in the world. Yeah. Now we've still got the same. It's the same feel. Yeah, it's not the tiers are definitely not the same. The feel's still the same. Do you think this is like the melting pot of? Do you think it's the closest thing to like a good game? Like I've played it and I still think there is bullshit in it, but I don't feel a way about it than I have in other games. Like I can look at Unis and then look at Skullgirls and MVC2 and say that's way stupider than what's in Unis.
I will like KOF 14, Unis. It's not that they're perfect games per se. It's just that they're honest to what they're trying to give you. There's no agenda when I play them. There's no I can feel the love of the developer. And I know you can't, but when I play them, I'm like raw. When I play Unis, I'm like, I can tell that maybe because it's not my bias to French bread, but you can tell that the little elements they put into the game, the real thought they put into the game, like the tutorial, like how the game moves, like the explanation of why everything exists, and the style of each character. Like that's how the game is made. Like when you look at a character, you get so just from aesthetically, you look at a character, you get the character you look at. Like the style of the character, you can just look at the character and it looks like what you play, And there's a style for everything in Unis. KOF 14, it's true to KOF. People may not like it. You can not like elements of KOF 14, but it still plays like a KOF of its own, and it's still fun in its own right. Like it's within its own, it's within its own universe. You know what I'm talking about when you play it. And the last game that I was at there was MK9, and not the greatest whatever. People still liked it. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like games like that, like you said, ST as well. Games like that, they're honest in their approach. There's no agenda behind them. So I feel like what you said about Unis is, I do feel like that's the closest we're going to get to a game which is agendaless, a game they're not putting in mechanics just for the sake of to extend its longevity in the eyes of the community or people. It's just a game that they genuinely thought was alright. Put mechanics in there, people can play around with, and there's not that the games that now they don't have that, and it's evident they don't have it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Like I'm all up for super dashing someone in front of their head. You know what I'm saying? Like
we'll play the kind of hard for a minute, bro. We all know it's like. That's the Frosty.
Dark times.
We don't play games with friends, man. We don't do
no friends.
You don't play games with friends. You know what I mean? So like DragonBall, he's lining up my pockets. He's lining up my pockets. Everyone keep feeding.
Wow.
But
Personal Maturino, sick.
But jokes aside, like if we continue, as long as games like, I know it's a meme to say, oh, Unis is an amazing game, but games are amazing when they have no agenda, and you don't have to like Unis, you don't have to like Tekken 7, all those games, but games where there's no agenda in the mechanics that they make, but the mechanics are just there for the enjoyment of the people. You can feel that, and us who people play it, we feel those things. You know, we genuinely feel those things. Like Dragon Ball Z, people may not like it, super that's stupid, whatever, but you can tell that it's actually made for like some of the things they put in. You can tell there's thought into it. Like, oh, raw, like you actually wanted people to see these cinematics. Yeah. You wanted to see people see these shots. Like you actually wanted people to see what I want. And I feel like when as much as we bitch about some of the games and the mechanics is rubbish, the good takeaway from it is that games like some elements of Dragon Ball Z, elements of Unis, of KOF 14, like they still exist. So I'm happy as long as there's 1% of games out there that element you said about skill and playing by yourself and really expressing yourself, as long as those and having that like the spatial control, like Theory said as well, those elements exist. As long as they exist, I think we're in a good timeline. And I think Unis at the moment it's like One Piece, right? I don't like using One Piece, but it's like the closest one to being. Huh?
I didn't watch One Piece, so I'm lost.
Yeah, it's fine.
But the chat will get it.
I'm using a blanket statement. It's just like the closest person to finding One Piece, and the closest one at the moment is without a shadow, without you, and or game or KOF 14 or just games that are honest. And I feel like when I don't know how you feel about it, but I do feel like it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all, as much as we banter.
Nah, there's a lot of smokes and mirrors. I don't think it's not peak. What do you think, Fury? Do you agree with? Good games, as long as they're not forcing you to play a certain play style or clearly
games are shit though.
Spectators.
I don't know. Like I like Uni, I like GUI, I like all these games. I think fighting games are super good right now because even if Street Fighter or whatever forces me to play in a way that like I don't enjoy, I can play a game that's forcing me to play a way I do enjoy. Like I like BB Tag because it fucking makes no sense, and that's really enjoyable, and I can do that. And if I wanted to play a game that made more sense, I could play something else. There's just something for everyone right now, and I think that's super fucking sick. Like there's just a lot of good fighting games. It's difficult because I think the marketing and the genuine support for the community, which like RMZ is saying, is great. It's a big gray area now. Like it's really hard because like the people behind Mortal Kombat 11, right? They clearly give a shit. Like they had like this fucking live show. People were getting fucking Mortal Kombat tattoos, which if you've done that, you're a fucking idiot, by the way. Just put that out. But like,
hey, bro.
What?
Bro, not me. But there's some big man who play combat, you know. I don't want no arms.
Yeah, fair.
I don't want no arms.
I mean,
don't jump me at my house. I got hands, but I'm
But like,
not down for that.
But at the end of the day, like you can't tell whether they genuinely give a shit about you or they're just trying to sell you shit. And like reality is, it's business. They're trying to sell you shit. It's mad to me when companies are announcing DLC before a game's out. Like that is an insane business practice that we now all accept as being normal, which is pretty fucking crazy when you think about it, right? So all you can take from buying games and the relationship with developers is just kind of like how, like what the fuck are you enjoying, man? Because like There's nothing stopping developers from fucking you over and charging you a shit ton for DLC. Like, look at individual characters in Street Fighter 5, they're like £5.99. It's mad. Like, people are trying to like, they're trying to get your money. They're developers, they're businesses. That kind of sucks when you look at it from that perspective. You just have to go stuff that like people have the creators have genuine passion for, and actually engage with people and like support their communities in good ways and try and build games that do work for lots of different people. That's cool.
Yeah, nice. It's when you were saying that about Street Fighter 5, I was like, yeah, man, they literally just rebranded
Stop
Omega.
mentioning said game.
All right, okay, Omega
It's your
Fire.
game, fam.
It's Omega Fire, but people just don't know.
Bruv, my rebrand is dark.
Oh, there we go. Right.
I rebranded myself from that game.
No, man, I'll look up. I'll type your name up on Google and I'll see Street Fighter cosplay.
People know me.
Gfinity RMZ.
Gfinity RMZ. Oh shit. That's lore, fam.
You know how fucked people don't even know. Crazy. They're like, oh, he's starting Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, yeah, man.
Oh, you're spinning that yarn. Wow.
Yeah,
Web of lies, bro.
I only play Dragon Ball. Like.
What a snake.
It's my first game.
What a snake. I'll make sure it's exposed on Twitter later. But we're gonna end it. There's 2 questions quickly. They can be easily answered. One, we'll start with Theory. Do you think patching where is it? Do you think DLC and patching too quickly are ruining fighting games?
Yes. Objectively, yes. I think if T-Hawk can move halfway up a tier list in the space of like 30 years, and people can figure out a counter for fucking Cell, like whatever.
That's ST, right? Just for the people that don't know.
Yeah. Like
not Street Fighter 4.
There's a lot. Fighting games are fucking hard, man. Like, it takes a long time. The reason they do this DLC and do these patches is for spectators. Let's be real. No one wants to see 5 camis in top 8. No one wants to see everyone playing Cell, whoever the fuck. Like, they're doing it for spectators. That's why they're patching games. I genuinely think so. They're kind of ruining it because it's taking away people's, like, why the fuck will I learn how to fight against Cammy when I know she's gonna get nerfed? Like, I've heard people say shit like that. That is fuck. Like,
that's a big yikes.
That is a big yikes. But it is. I've not picked top tier characters in anime. Like in BB Tag, I definitely should have picked more top tier characters. Like outside of Ruby, obviously, like Ruby Gordo. But I was like, what's the fucking point? This is gonna be gone soon. Like, I know it, you know it. Everyone knows it. Why the fuck is that ever entering my mind? Like, why am I not going, oh, I'll pick a top tier, or oh, I'll pick this character that counters top tier? There's no point in me learning counters because it's going to get patched. It's it's weird. It's a weird thing and it needs to dead.
I think I've thought that, not for the longest time, but I've started to think that. I was like, when I stopped playing Guilty Gear, I was like, I don't have to learn matchups. The characters are going to change so that I can beat them without thinking, or I can beat them without knowing the specific way to beat them.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked. Last question. So RMZ, man, like Darky's asking, what is the worst character design ever?
Worst character.
Yeah, I know you've got an archive of knowledge on characters. I'm gonna straight up go say it's between Johnny, XR Johnny, not pre Johnny. Like, those Johnnies are fine because they actually required a lot of execution. It was hard. So XR Johnny and Carmine. Carmine is wrong, bro. That character is illegal. Illegal, bro. What he's doing is just not heard of in any game. It's not.
We're gonna have to go to. New 13 is the first New 13 is probably one of the worst characters I've ever seen.
Oh shit! Yeah, New 13.
When
the game first dropped, that was horrendous.
The first. I don't think in any fighting. Include that's so Alien.
Oh, what in MK?
Yeah, Alien, MK, New 13, and if I just had guys, you can check. It would be if you want to check in like the very very first Blaze Blue, that was something else. That was a horror. Like you could just die full screen to buttons. Like you
I
could
can
die
hear
to
in the
someone.
pitch of your voice, bro. It was definitely, it definitely make you feel the type of way thinking about that character.
Yeah, this just feels like counselling right now.
Yeah, like
ALA meetings.
it was very like I've never. There's nothing that close to that powerful. Like Sin at his best is not even there. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah, no, I
Sin
can
at
see
his
that.
best isn't there. Like Sin at his greatest is not there. Like I feel like New was something else. Like New was like something else entirely. But
See, when I think of
don't know.
Blaz, I think of Arakune as being like
Oh
the
no,
guy that needs to
Arakune.
go.
What? No. I think Blaz is in all the new games. I think Blaz has got the way character things like when characters are fucked and they're really strong.
Right, yeah.
I think like Darky's answer question. I do think it's BB. I don't think any game comes close. All the other games are balanced somehow. Like people bitch about 16, but 16 still can super dash and get 2H.
Yeah.
Whereas in
Yeah.
BB, characters just say no to a system mechanic.
Yeah, she does.
Mate.
Yeah, she does that.
Like the first one in Rev 2, like when he first came out, like he can say no to a mechanic because he created a meta himself. He created an unblockable loop by himself.
Sounds
You know what I mean?
fun.
Like, yeah, that's what bad character designs look like. I mean, those are
Right.
great character designs. Like that's why I don't say he's bad because they designed Johnny well. That's why I don't call it bad.
Yeah, that's why I said
But-
not pre-Johnny. Like, Johnny and AC and all that, fine. It's just the XR one I've got an issue with.
No, but like it's no point.
He's not designed to do anything smart, fam. Let's be real.
No. But like, okay, the bad character design, and then like they look. I'm like, raw. Doesn't make sense. Like new 13 press D full screen and you're blocking, mate. You're fucking blocking. then run forward and guess. No, come on, bro.
Yeah, no. I agree.
Like, it's a fighting game. Like you're getting Tiger button.
I
then
was
just running
promoted to
across.
play that character, bro. Theory was saying, like,
Exactly,
yeah, I know a little bit.
They.
The little I did, I was like, wow, this is mad empowering, bro. This was like, that was like the first time I felt like a virtual support bro on me, bro. I was getting the best support from that character. Like, I could do no wrong.
Your shoulders were feeling real.
Bruv, I was pressing
Real
one
carry.
button, push block or don't push block. You're still blocking this. Like, it was man empowering, bro. I was burning all types of bras. It was sick, bro.
But yeah, that would be for me though.
So yeah, Theory. I'm guessing you're gonna say the ban characters. Like, this is the thing. Like, there was a conversation about banning certain characters and smashing people. Were like, you can't ban characters. They're like, they did that, bro. Akuma got banned.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take the like competitive illegal characters out, man.
Right. Okay. Fair
Well,
enough.
I will say, I think it's old Sagat in ST.
Oh, not that bad.
No, he is that bad. He makes anyone below mid tier unplayable.
I know, but like that's not a broken mechanic. He just fucks.
Yeah, he's fucked. That's what's being asked. That
That is the
character is fucked.
question. That
That
is
is
the
literally
question.
the question, man.
No, I think
You asked me what 2 + 2 is, and you're asking me to say 5. No. Look.
I think that we use the term broken differently.
Oh no, I'm alright. A genuinely broken fucking
Yeah.
gold Iron Man in Marvel 1.
Oh my. Yeah. Okay.
That
Oh, Marvel
is
1.
yeah. Where he had super armor the entire time.
Oh, I was
Like,
thinking
you
War
literally,
Machine. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
War Machine, Gold War Machine.
Yeah, I
War
was
Machine,
yeah.
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 He was
Gold
like
War
making
Machine.
Geef, but
Yeah,
on
yeah.
crack.
Yeah, that is
Dog.
fucking insane.
These men are hearing this. What? And I'm like,
Yeah,
You
man. War
watch
Machine
it,
was a
and
good character.
It does not make sense. You watch Marvel 1 and you're just like, literally, I don't understand how you formulate a game plan against a character that is never in block stun. Ever. That's fucking mad. Like,
that's games are trash.
man, just stop playing fighting games. I don't go back to fucking
I'll tell you
CS,
what.
man.
All fighting games are trash.
Yeah.
New ones even this you're just a hot bag of trash because you're forced to play them. You've got some genjutsu. People are forcing you to play shit games.
Mad.
And you continuously pay for it, bro. Monthly subscriptions.
I'll never pay for no fucking shit.
I mean, I didn't do this podcast to piss you off, but I mean, it was all jokes until the end, and it was like, RMZ was like, wow.
Right, but oh man, people paying shit they don't need to pay for that. That grinds my gears.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it stop. It's kind of like just the culture now, isn't it? Like, people kind of getting force fed. Like, this is what you want. I mean, other companies have been doing that for time. Call of Duty is literally the kings of it, and FIFA. I don't care if you play that game. They're literally giving you, bruv, you know what they're doing? They're feeding you something. You're puking up, regurgitating it, and then eating it again.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, they're just giving you the same thing, and they're just sprinkling some pepper on it. Like, I don't understand how people
Just enjoying it.
They're loving life, bruv. I don't get it. So I can't judge because I'm still playing fighting games. I'm playing DBZ and it's...
Right. I haven't played DBZ since I got back.
All I can say, just in case someone from Bandai is watching, it's a good game. It's a good game.
You looking to commentate that world tour or something?
I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna lie, bruv. It's a good game. I didn't say it was a good fighting game, though. It is a very fun game. Man gets to pick Vegeta on the character select screen, and I'm easily pleased.
Did you just say it's a good game?
It is a good game. It's hella fun, bruv.
Alright.
Shield 4 is going mad.
Shield 4 is just...
Come, man. Look, the same way people like Smash, innit? Some games are just fun.
I haven't played that since I got back, man.
But you've been messing out, bruv.
I've been on the greatest... Playing Vesperia, I'm about to take Kingdom Hearts 3, about to play Sekiro, and then I'm gonna come back and be mashing Reflect on Wake Up, and then I'm.
Hey man, who doesn't like pressing buttons on their Wake Up?
Oh yeah, that question where you asked us what we think a fighting game is. That's it. Mashing buttons on Wake Up. That's 100%. All there is in fighting games.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
You wait to get knocked down to see if you feel like you've got enough balls to press the buttons and wake up again.
Yeah.
That's the most... Bro, I've watched Street Fighter 5 quite a bit. And the most exciting thing is when someone wakes up with jab and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that. It's sick,
so sick. And they get knocked down. Then they get knocked down again and do it again. Like, it's the best mix-up. I've seen people, like, just do wake-up jab every wake-up. And you always think, oh, they're not going to do it again. And they win.
You know what? They tell them, wait, are you going to pick up button? Oh my god, he pressed fucking
Ubare. What? Since when? I don't care what language you say random, mashing in. I don't care. It's still the same thing. I don't care if the Japanese players or a US player does it.
Ubare.
Bruv. But you know what I hate? Actually, yeah. So, because it's the end, I'm just going to tell everyone I hate what was it? The Yomi Daigo DP, whatever the fuck they used to call it. What was it?
The Ume Shoryu.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe anyone praised it for that. You actually need to go seek mental help.
No, do you know what? I'm gonna say fuck you, man, because you remember when we watched Daigo versus Ogawa at that team tournament?
Yeah,
Daigo nearly fucking beat him. That match alone, I don't give a shit about anything else he's done, but that match alone was the hypest shit I've ever seen.
You know why that's different? It's because Soul can have a follow-up after the DP. When it's Ryu doing it, it's not that cool. I remember I tried to do it with Akuma in cross second, and when it hit, I thought, for a split second, I was like, I'm gassed, and I was like, I'm also the biggest arsehole in the room right now.
You know why? Because X second was mainly Street Fighter 4, and then like with Street Fighter 4, the good elements of Street Fighter 4, and I'm like, people who like Street Fighter 4, I'm like, you're an idiot. Some of you like Street Fighter 4, yeah. Like some of you, why are you not playing X second?
Because like, they were frauds, bruv. They were frauds.
Like literally everything you liked.
No,
it's all the people that said they liked footsies and then they got presented footsies.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what? I don't quite like getting hit from half speed away by fucking Kazuya Crouch.
You know what, Vega? It's not me. I thought I had the footsie game. I'm just getting licked off.
Yeah, people don't know what they want. I'm glad the developers are forcing people to like what they say they should like. Because players don't actually know what they want. They wanted Skullgirls, they got it, they didn't like it. They wanted footsies, they wanted neutral. They gave them Cross Tekken, they just focused on the gems. That game is only footsies. Unless you're cool kids, you can't scum people out with high lows.
Yeah, no fight game player has known what they want to order in a restaurant. They go in there, they talk to the staff and go, what would you recommend to me? That's it.
Exactly.
And they're happy with what they get.
Exactly. Dog food, I'll have it. If it's a special for today, I'll have it.
Great.
Splendid. I'll recommend 10 out of 10. I'll come again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good review.
Thanks a lot,
Fucking Just
boys.
Eat.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having me.
No, thank you for gracing us with your
With your Mackie D's order.
Yeah, I was about to say the Mackie D's. Yeah,
You're lucky at it, bro. There are many. We'll keep those. I saved out all the Tekken. I saved out the fights at the ting. Oh man.
There's a lot of lore in fighting games. Anyone that's been playing for too long,
If you we've all.
there's a lot of lore.
get consumed, man.
There's too much lore.
Yeah.
It goes deep.
I mean, we can do another episode, another
Hey.
podcast. Because
Yeah, I don't.
to be fair, we didn't talk much about the community, and there's a lot to be said about the community.
I'm happy about it.
I know you are. You didn't want to talk about it. I understand that.
What do you mean? I said at the.
No. Theory, sorry. Theory didn't want to talk
Oh,
about
okay,
it.
cool.
Yeah, I know RMZ is itching to tell people that they're waste. I know this is what you want to do. Because I want to do it too. And doing it on Twitter isn't enough.
Get that clickbait podcast next time, man. Why the FGC is shit.
Bro, that's exactly what it's going to be called. I'm going to send it to Velociraptor. I'm going to start it with ASMR as well, so everyone's going to like it. Man like CT. It's going to happen.
I'll be looking through my curtains at that podcast. I won't be interacting. I'll be on an anonymous account.
I'll be chatting. Yeah.
Fully Bird Box.
Fully bird box, mate. Eyes covered. I'm not talking about FGC anymore, man. I don't have enough fucking years.
I don't
of my
even like
life.
the term. I don't like the term.
It's a bit yucky now, isn't it?
Community implies that I talk to more of these people than
Yes,
I do.
thank
Do
you.
you know what I mean? It's,
Okay, Mace, when have you ever heard? Every time people say it, bro, if you just search my name and search the word, I said, I'm not a part of you cunts. Like, we just play the. We share the same whatever.
that is true.
We just share the same thing. There are certain people like you, which are allowed to come to January. That's cool, but like we're not the same. Don't sugarcoat me. I'm not a part of your group because I don't like group consensus. Group consensus are These are men that will shove their agendas down your throat. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Mate, that is going to the pub for like one evening and being like, "Look, I'm part of the pub
I'm regular.
community."
Thank you.
I've got a tab. Look, man, we all wear socks.
been out
Sock community,
for a
bro.
minute.
For all the people that wear
Once or
socks.
twice. Yeah, community is waste. I don't like hive mind. That's why I don't call the DBZ chat. I don't call it even a community. I say it's just a bunch of people who play games. Bunch of renegades.
Renegades.
Mate, lost causes more like fucking hell.
Bunch of lost causes.
Runaways.
Yeah.
Literally runaways.
Vagrants, you know.
That's what they are.
Oh, where the fuck you finding these
Vagabonds.
people, man?
I don't know,
Whenever
man.
Mace shows me anything from that chat, I'm just, I every day I praise the Lord that I don't play DBZ. It's nice.
God's
It's
gift.
real nice.
You still got GG to fall back on, bro. We still got that group, and it's just people just.
I
just
left
making
that
fun
thing.
of
I
it.
left that thing.
Don't, yeah, no, it's good. It's
The friends. Like every single fucking. Oh, when a player's you. Dispo. That means are you available? Leave me alone, man.
man. As long as we've all got Discords, we're all part of the community. I think that's the only.
Oh,
that's,
my days.
we're all
Yeah,
gonna be jacked
you're
into
right.
the Matrix.
You're right, man.
Oh yeah, and also fuck. Fuck with it, fuck you too.
I don't. The
Like-
sickest thing is that you're cutting out when you're saying what you're saying. Fuck you to. So it's
Oh,
just
really?
you saying fuck and then just silence, and then the next thing is nice.
It means it's got the same depth to it.
Yeah, it's algebra, mate. Fuck X, fuck A, fuck Y.
You know who
Like,
you are.
I'll fuck with you anyway. So.
I'm stupid. Alright then.
All right, safe.
Alright,
Close the
take it,
podcast,
peace.
man.
Safe. Yeah, so that was Theory and RMZ. I would plug them, but they probably don't want to talk to people. As you hear, they're pretty. We're all the old men when it comes to gaming. So, I mean, you can at them. I don't have to reply with anything useful or helpful to you. But yeah, shout out for everyone who's in the chat.